What's up, RotoGrinders? Dean here, Dean7904. That is the daily fantasy handle that hopefully maybe possibly takes down some American dollars tonight on DraftKings, on Fanduel. Big boy slate, not messing around. Yesterday was the dress rehearsal. Tonight, 12 games. The association giving us 12 big ones to break down. We're going to go game by game. It's myself and the greatest DFS player in all of Canada. He stands by it. There's nobody else from Canada as far as we know. TJ Zwarich. TJ, man, this is your first basketball show here with us. I appreciate you stepping up. I think you were late swapped in, yesterday. So call the challenge, man. It's going to be a good one. A lot to break down. Very first game, very first show for me. Of course, yesterday, if the people are not aware, what's up there, YouTube? If you're not aware, Crunch Time is free once again this season. It was free for baseball, wasn't free for basketball last year, but this year basketball Crunch Time is free. And it has a lot of value, so you're going to want to stick around for that. Of course, take you guys all the way up the lock, through lock, 2 hours plus of NBA DFS content. Andy Means will be joining the show later. Kevin Roth, chief meteorologist Kevin Roth, he hosted as well as STL Cardinals with his tournament takes. We'll be showing off a lot of our tools as well throughout the show. Producer Steve will be all over that. TJ, opening night, man. Yesterday was opening night, but whatever. Tonight's the real opening night, isn't it?
It is. I'm excited about it. It feels like it's full circle because I started at RG doing NBA alerts, the Twitter alerts.
Oh yeah.
And then from there, I right at the end of the NBA regular season last year, I won a bunch of money in NBA, which led to me winning even more money in NFL. And then I kind of said, "Hey guys, I want to do some content." And that's kind of where it came from. But it was as the regular season ended, so I never actually got on any NBA shows. And so I'm happy to step in for Luch now and join you for this one. I'm on a few crunch times later this month, but I think this is going to be the only Grinders Live. So happy to step in with you. I've definitely never said as forcefully as you have that I'm the best DFS player in Canada. I said, who knows? Maybe it's a possibility.
I'm your hype man. I'm like your own little personal Flavor Flav.
I mean, yeah, it was a hype man until you pinned it on me that I stand by it, and you weren't using your words, you were using mine.
You got the house, man. You want a house. That's good enough that you can point to the house and say, what bought me this house? NBA DFS.
That's true. B-Shot in chat says DK pays Canadian accounts in maple syrup. Nope, they pay him in American dollars that happen to be tax-free here in Canada. Beautiful. So it's a pretty good deal. But the people in chat want to know. Thankfully, we got some hitting the like button already. Hopefully a few more are going to do it throughout the show here. But the people want to know, why aren't we trying to win some loonies and toonies today?
I can't win loonies and toonies because I just sent money to Canada yesterday. And good Lord, PayPal hits you with a $5 fee. Come on, man. What are we doing, PayPal? Why are you shafting me all over the place? I sent some loonies and toonies that way up here, up north. But, loonies and toonies, they're fun to say. They're just not worth as much as American dollars, It's that's just the facts, but they are.
It's true. They're only worth 80 cents.
They're tax-free, though, which is beautiful. It must be very nice not to pay taxes in your DFS.
Well, especially, it sucks when you deposit, but it feels damn good when you withdraw.
Fair enough. By the way, you mentioned the like button, and you're going to like this, TJ. I didn't even tell you this before the show. But I talked to producer Devin pre-show. I said, you know what? It's the very first show for myself for NBA game. We had crunch time yesterday. Let's have some fun. Let's reward the people. I'm on with TJ. TJ loves his like button. You're definitely going to encourage people to hit it. One more reason to encourage people to hit the like button. You ready for it, TJ? For every 50 likes, we're going to give away 1 week free of RotoGrinders Premium. So how that's going to work, by the way, once it hits 50, TJ, if you have your eye on that, let me know, whatever. And then once we see in the chat, they know, they'll all hit one, just hit one, and then we'll randomly pick somebody. If you spam the chat, you're not going to get picked. It's just so you know. And don't spam it. Just throw a 1 in there, and we'll randomly pick a winner. And let's see how many winners we can get. But 1 week free of RG Premium. What does that entail, TJ? That's not just basketball. It's all the sports. Football, baseball, basketball, NHL, MMA. You got the esports. You got the F1. You have the optimizers. You have the articles. You have the expert survey. You have the expert rankings. There's too much to list. Everything with the exception of NASCAR, golf as well too, all the sports. Again, every 50 likes, we're going to give away 1 week free of RotoGrinders Premiums to somebody random in the chat. And I guess just hit a 1, when we prompt y'all, and we'll randomly pick somebody. Again, do not spam that. If you do, you're not going to be selected unless I goof and pick the wrong person. But yeah, TJ, you like that? Is that a good incentive for people at the old like button?
I love it. It bounced us up to 20, which is still only... It bothers me when it's less than half because, all you got to do is just slide your finger over. If you're watching on your phone, I get it. Yeah, you got to X the chat first and then hit the like button and then open the chat back up. It's 3 steps instead of just 1. It's grueling. It's exhausting. But it means more free RG content for people, and it means we get to keep bringing you this show for free on YouTube because that's the only way it does well in the YouTube algorithm. So the one thing I want to say about the week free quick, honestly, the best thing you can take advantage of, in my opinion, with that is just the NHL tools and content. It is so easy to win an NHL DFS. Like, that's the one sport that I find that people haven't really picked up all that much on, and it's kind of just how NFL was 5 years ago, where if you just stack full lines, you're going to do well more often than not. And it was the same thing when nobody was stacking an NFL way back in the day. So definitely take advantage of the NHL tools. Hit the like button. How much Raptor bias can we expect in TJ's analysis? None. I stay out of my bias. I look at the numbers. Spidey tells me a thing or two, but home team bias stops you from winning money, and I like money more than I like cheering for regular season Raptors.
What's the gimmick? We got Spidey Bomb. Spidey predicts the homers. What do we have? What is your gimmick for basketball? Like triple doubles, double doubles, 7xing? Like what's the gimmick we're going to use? Have we decided anything on that?
I like a 7x. I could do a 7x.
I don't know. I mean, like 7x like at 3K though is not nearly as useful as 7x at like 8K. You know what I mean? Like it's fluid.
Yeah. Okay.
I think you use your own thing, pick your own thing, and feel free to consult Spidey. I'm just sort of asking if you thought anything as far as that you want to use the rest of the season. How about this? I'm just throwing it out there, TJ. If somebody in the chat comes up with a good answer, if you actually use, it's a good gimmick. 1 week free RG premium.
Love it. I love it, but they're gonna have to hurry because I've already thought of something. I'm gonna just move over my little Ahsoka here. Put Ahsoka back where she goes. Grab a little Darth. The Darth Vader dunk play is going to help you take down tournaments like he took over the Galaxy.
Spoilers.
And Shut up, Dean. Movie came out in 1979. Every 50 likes, we'll drop one of these in Grinders Live. It'll always be relative to the slate because maybe it's 5x on a 3-game slate, maybe it's 10x depending on the day, but regardless, they'll get progressively less chalky. They're always going to be tournament plays, and they'll be progressively less chalky each play. So the first 50 likes will get a solid tournament play. Like, this isn't somebody that's going to be 50% owned, plug them into your cash games, but they may not be a 5% or a 2% type of thing either until we get ourselves up there.
All right, we have a 12 gamer. We have no time for pleasantries, unfortunately. No time to we're going to go through these games. We're going to go game by game. If there's some things you just don't like, don't feel obligated, obviously, to say like, well, of course you can play this guy, and of course you can play that guy. We got to focus on the good stuff, man. We're here for an hour and 10 minutes till we yield to crunch time. You got, Andy Means, you got STL cards, you got Kevin Roth taking y'all straight up to lock, but trying to keep this tight. I also want to incorporate the chat. If you guys want to, you understand what game we're going to be on, so feel free to throw something out regarding the game. I'll do my best to multitask and keep an eye on the chat and see if there's anything pertinent to the conversation. Throw out some names, typically on the ones that are actually on as far as the game we're on or game we're coming up to. You guys know the schedule. It's going to go based upon the tip-off time. Anything else of note before we kind of fully dive in? What are you playing tonight? Are you playing MMA? You're playing one main lineup? What are you doing?
Both. One main lineup on FanDuel, and then I'm going to run 150 as well. Basketball is typically the sport I've done the best on, running multiple lineups, running lineup HQ. I'm a lot more successful using lineup HQ in MLB and NBA, especially NBA, than I am NFL. So I'm looking forward to it.
All right. B-Shot, Hoosiers, Pistol Pete saying hello to the chat. Kindly hit that like button. Again, once we hit 50 likes, we're going to go ahead and give away a week free of RotoGrinders Premium. Do you have anything to say regarding the slate overarching, or you just want to dive right in and kind of have things come up organically?
Let's dive in and have them come up. We got some good plays, but it's a 12-game slate. We got nobody projecting over 30% ownership right now. It's going to be decently spread out. I think there's some guys I'm looking to get quite a bit overweight on. Some guys I'm looking to get quite a bit underweight on. But I think they'll come up as they go. It's such a big slate. I don't think any one thing sticks out in particular, and we should dive in. Other than Zach LaVine starting the season with injury management rest.
I mean, well, that's the thing. It's like, how do you call that? If he played 3 or 4 preseason games, right? So if you're going to injury management somebody, maybe don't let him play in the preseason. The Darth Vader just dropping.
Darth Vader, I already just knocked Darth Vader over.
Well, so much for that gimmick. It lasted all 4 minutes. But, yeah, we'll talk about it. It's wild. I don't understand. And that just tells me that LaVine is probably a lot more hurt than they're leading on, because that doesn't make any sense. And they did say he would sit the next game and most likely play the third game, the actual home opener. But you know what? I'm not sure if you've heard this before, TJ. It's DFS, Daily Fantasy Sports. We care about today and today only. So we don't really care about Zach LaVine. We'll talk about his teammates later, which surprisingly still aren't that interesting. Tough game in Miami. We'll have that conversation. Very first game on the slate. 2 games at 7 o'clock. Washington, Indiana, 227 is a total. It's high. It's tight. Washington is a 1.5-point favorite here. Man, when you talk about ownership, and again, we'll kind of jump back and forth as far as the sites, and we'll talk about DK specifically. San Antonio is really, really cheap. Fanduel specifically. Whatever. Let's stick on this. Washington, Indiana. I know that Miles Turner, the always reliable Miles Turner, the odometer, he's pretty cheap on Fanduel. He's popping as one of the more popular plays today. And to me, traditionally, he is scary chalk, and he's actually, by a couple decimal points, is our highest projected owned player today on Fanduel, which is sort of wild, but I kind of get it. You want to start there on the Indiana side?
Yeah, we can start there, I think. And so regarding Miles Turner, the tough thing is yes, I really like Miles Turner. I think Miles Turner should smash today. On paper, I like him quite a bit. It's just how he accrues his points makes me not really want to play him when he's projecting for 30% ownership. And so I think on DraftKings, maybe that's looking like that's not as hefty of a case, but on FanDuel, it's certainly going to be way up there. And so Miles Turner, I don't know if I don't think I can get to 30% when the field's getting there, and I don't think I can get over that, but I do in a vacuum like him. He's just a very volatile style player. So with that type of ownership, I don't mind the idea of getting off of him. Having said that, there are some players in this game, specifically on the Indiana side, I do really like getting to. Jalen Smith, if he's in, I'm going to have interest in, and I think that is some good leverage off of Miles Turner. On FanDuel, obviously on DraftKings, Smith, it looks like he might pick up a little more ownership with that power forward eligibility. But my favorite player on this team, regardless, is Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah.
He's in a phenomenal position this year. No more Malcolm Brogdon, no more Karis LeVert on this team. I don't even know if they ever played together, but like he's the guy now. He's the ball handler now. TJ McConnell's going to come off the bench and play his 18 to 20 TJ McConnell minutes, but Tyrese Halliburton is going to be the facilitator, the scorer, the slasher, everything. I like Chris Duarte as a potential value play. Isaiah Jackson becomes interesting if Jalen Smith is out, but Tyrese Halliburton is my favorite guy here by far.
Yeah, if Smith doesn't go, Brissett might draw the start, but I don't. Again, this slate is so deep. There's so much good stuff. You're running 150, so I get. You can play a guy like Isaiah Jackson, I suppose, but I wouldn't get there. To me, that's too much. That's too specific. By the way, I should mention as far as Turner, DK versus FanDuel, super popular in FanDuel, not so much at all in DK. DK center prices. There's so many good centers over there. I sent out a tweet earlier, just like I love. Bam is 6'4", which is ridiculous. The Joker is 10'3", which is ridiculous. Sabonis 8'1". Pascal, your boy Pascal, the triangle. Siakam 7.6K. Sabonis is 8'1". Pirtle's 5'8".
I'm finally on an NBA show with you, so I can finally tell you his name is Pascal.
Pascal. Come on, man. It's close.
Pascal Siakam.
Well, you know what? If you get any other pronunciations wrong, I'm gonna actually you. It's coming. Yeah, I have to. I gotta get back up. But I always it's Pascal Siakam.
Yeah, I'll forget people's names, but I won't mispronounce them.
All right. I just in my head I say it wrong the whole time. Thank you for correcting me. I didn't know, and I watch a lot of the Toronto games too. The point is,
I'm here in Canada. That's a very commonly mispronounced one. That's not just you, but I've been watching NBA shows since he's been in the league, and I'm like, damn, guys. Yes, I do have Raptors bias when it comes to how to pronounce their name.
There you go.
You got me.
Yeah, I love Halliburton as well. We're going to see some crazy tanking at some point in this season, and Indiana might be in that mix. We'll talk about San Antonio and OKC. Everybody's tanking for the stud there in France, but opening night probably not going to see it so much. We'll see going forward. But Indiana, it's all hinges on Halliburton. Sacramento made the goofiest trade last year. Didn't make any sense. Love him. He's going to be pretty popular for a 12 gamer, 12% on Fanduel. We're looking at as far as ownership, and on DK, 14% ownership. Jalen Smith, like you said, is questionable. I didn't do the whole body parts rundown. The people like the body parts, but he's like one of the biggest body parts we're watching right now. Him and two of the two guys for Toronto don't really matter so much. Birch and Boucher are doubtful or questionable. I think they're doubtful or questionable. Doesn't matter a ton. And on a 12 game, we got the Levine news, obviously. Who was the other one that was kind of sort of something interesting? Dylan Brooks, I assume, doesn't play. He's doubtful. Assuming he doesn't go, Conchar, we'll talk about him as a cheap play on FanDuel. How about the Washington side? Anything else as far as Indiana? But Washington for me is just, if you want to play Bradley Beal, if you think he's somehow going to be the top stud in this slate, I don't. It's a good matchup against Indiana historically, right? They're one of the worst defenses in all basketball last year, but it's not just him. There's other guys, and they're going to share it a bit, with Porzingis. I think Porzingis, you can consider salary probably my favorite tournament play on Washington, but I don't love him as a whole. But my first guy I would play would be Porzingis. What say you?
Porzingis or Beal would be the only guys that I'd have any interest in, and I'm Xing out all the rest of them. Yeah, so Bradley Beal is a FanDuel specific play. He's like 8K over there on FanDuel, and so on DraftKings I'd be Xing him out at that price tag as well. But on FanDuel, I'm perfectly okay with playing Beal and playing Porzingis.
Yeah, you talk about shopping around. Beal at 9.6 on DK. That's just a no-go for me. But I do agree. You make a good point. On FanDuel, 8.2K, a little bit more playable. Any thoughts as far as game stacks, or just in general? How do you handle game stacks? How about big and new game stacks? And on a 12 game where you don't necessarily have to, there's some that sort of happen organically. We'll talk about it. But is this one of the games you would consider stacking?
A mini stack, yeah. I do really like game stacking in NBA. It's one of my favorite things to do in NFL and NBA. When you have a game that goes to double overtime, or when you have a game that's just sprinting and it ends 130 to 128, that's often what you see at the top of the slates when that does happen. So on a 12-game slate, I don't think you're making any 4-4 stacks, anything like that. But no. In some of the games, we'll talk about maybe some 3-2s, 3-1s, things like that. But in this game, I don't mind a 2-1 skinny stack, something like that. If you're playing Turner and Halliburton, and then throwing it back with a Porzingis or a Beal on FanDuel, I think that's okay.
Hedge Fantasy in chat asking about Monte Morris. If we talked, I kind of like Monte Morris. I think he's going to do pretty well for Washington, but this is one of those deals where the nature of the slate, I don't see myself getting there. It's not that I'm going to discourage it. I don't see myself playing Monte Morris. He's not terrible, but it's probably not happening.
Yeah, 100 Monte Morris on even on 150 lineups on a slate this big. I like him this season. I'm not going to be getting them today. We got almost 150 people watching now, Dean. What do they get if they hit the like button?
Yeah, so we mentioned it earlier. People kind of sprinkle in, and the closer we get the lock, obviously, the audience grows more and more. But if y'all are not aware, once we hit 50 likes, hit that like button. We're going to randomly select a person to get 1 week free of RotoGrinders Premium. So once that happens, once we get 50, just drop a 1 in the chat, and we will randomly select somebody. And then hit me up on Twitter, like DM me on Twitter, and we'll make it work for you. All right.
Just 1-1.
What's up? Yeah, just one.
Yeah,
1. Yeah, and don't spam the chat. Or a 7. No, let's keep it at a 1. Just make it a 1. Easy.
And every 50 likes, you get the you're getting the inaugural Darth Vader dunk to help you take down tournaments like he took over the galaxy.
We got anything else?
That's
or
a
move
great
on?
analogy. That's fantastic.
We got to move on. We got
myself.
11 games in like an hour, and then we're handing it off to Andy and SDL. If this is it feels like a sprint. That's just how it's gonna go, man. So we got to focus on the good stuff and try to ignore all the peripheral things that are worth talking about when it's like a 3 or 4 or 5. Like yesterday, I'm sure people were talking about like, I don't know, PJ Tucker and things like that. I don't really want to talk about the PJ Tuckers of the world. We don't have time for that. Got bronchitis. Anything else as far as this game? We're moving on. I think we're moving on, right?
Let's move on.
All right. There's 2 games at 7 o'clock. The other 7 o'clock game is Orlando, Detroit. Not a very high total, 217. Detroit is a 3-point favorite here. Battle of the 2 last number 1 overall picks. Number 1 overall pick for Orlando. We're going to get Paolo Banchero versus Cade Cunningham. As far as who's in and who's out this game, there are a few pieces that are at least worth acknowledging, I suppose. Livers is out. That's not a big one. Bagley's not going to play basketball. Burks is out as well. But Mo Wagner not playing for Orlando. Fultz is out. Of course, Isaac's out. He's always out. And Gary Harris not available either. This game, it's happening. There were some – well, I'll throw it to you. What do you think as far as Orlando?
So, we're seeing ownership go to these Orlando guys. We're looking at 20% Cole Anthony, 20% Franz Wagner. To me, that feels like – on FanDuel, that is. To me, that feels like bad chalk. To me, they're projected well. Yes, they're missing a lot of guys. But I'm just in it's a gross game, Orlando and Detroit. A couple of teams that probably aren't going to be very good. The usage is probably going to be split right in between Suggs, Wagner, and Anthony. RJ Hampton will get some minutes. Terrence Ross will get some minutes. I think I want to avoid the backcourt in Orlando. The only guy I'm really looking at play today personally is going to be Wendell Carter Jr. I have quite a bit of interest in him. He's more expensive on FanDuel, but he is power forward eligible. And that's really going to be it for me. How about you for Orlando?
For the Orlando side, I'm okay with Cole Anthony on FanDuel. I like that price at 5.8K. Going to play low 30s as far as minutes. We talked about that backcourt being pretty clear for him to go. I don't mind Wendell Carter, which was a little bit cheaper than 7.1K on FanDuel, but for that reason, his ownership is projected to be less than 2%. He's going to be 10% on DK because he's a little more accommodating as far as the asking price at 6.1. But again, he's center specific, and he's not no multi-position eligibility for him on DK. And there's a lot of really, really good centers. You best not miss at center today on DK. It's so good. So I'm fine with Carter, but is he the guy I take a stand on? If you whiff, you have to crush center. You really do. You cannot miss it on DK. FanDuel too. By the way, Jokic is a power forward eligible on FanDuel. How about that?
Jokic is, Towns is, and then there's guys like Siakam that are center eligible.
Pascal?
Yeah, Pascal.
By the way, Cat will be the 4 all season long with Gobert. But it is kind of weird that he's power forward.
It's just weird seeing him PFC. It's just such an odd combo to see Karl Anthony Towns and Nikola Jokic up top, both with that eligibility.
Wagner was really good in the preseason for what it's worth. I'm okay. I was making some hand building a couple of lineups earlier before the show, and I did land on a Wagner. I thought he was fine. I had Bay on the other side. Bay's got a pretty good price on FanDuel. He's actually going to be reasonably popular, Sneak Bay, because his price is pretty good, FanDuel specific. We're looking at 27% as far as his ownership, 5.2K over there. If you jump to DK just for a second, as far as ownership, the only guy really grabbing any ownership is Cunningham at 19%. Everybody else is 10% or less. Carter at 10. Everybody else is 8, 9, 7. It's sort of fine. Beef Stew, I don't mind, but he's so up and down. But I guess that's what you like in tournaments, and he is. I think he's going to continue shooting his threes. Isaiah Stewart, that is. He can be handsy as well too. The floor can be rough, but every once in a while you catch a high ceiling game from him. Feel free to clean up Orlando and jump to Detroit.
Yeah, Orlando's cleaned. I think on FanDuel you can play the guards, the wings a little bit, but they're picking up some ownership, so I'd rather get underweight. Wendell Carter Jr. I like in tournaments. On the Detroit side of things, Cade Cunningham's a very strong play, especially on DK where he's nice and cheap. Sadiq Bey on FanDuel I like as well. Isaiah Stewart I'll take a few shots on. And then Cade Cunningham makes for a nice tournament play on FanDuel where he's only picking up about 5% ownership right now.
Let's talk about New York and Memphis. 226.5 is the total. New York is a 4.5-point dog. I will make this one quick and easy. I have nobody on New York.
The only player I was somewhat considering was Mitchell Robinson or Julius Randle.
Yeah, I mean, Randle 2 years ago was awesome last year. The regression hit really, really hard for him. Brunson Burner, like him, but he's going to probably eat off other players as well. And I this is like a 3 or 4 gamer. I'm really interested in Hartenstein for the season. This isn't the spot. I just talked about how center you cannot miss. And Mitch Rob we've seen get injured. Mitch Rob we've seen get 2 fouls really, really quickly. But again, I'm not playing Isaiah Hartenstein in a 12-game slate. It's not happening where center is a high priority. But yeah, you're going to get, when you say you're playing some Randles like 5%, you're not going to get a ton, right?
I honestly just X them out. It's just
all right.
Like with the addition of Jalen Brunson on that team this year, there's not going to be as much ball handling duty for Barrett and Randle this year. There's just starting to be a more mouths to feed. They're probably going to be playing guys like Quickly and Rose some minutes in there. They got Cam Reddish over there now. I think on a 12-game slate, the Knicks are a team I'm okay fading. I don't like. Yes, maybe that some of them will do all right. Maybe Julius Randle has a big game. Maybe Mitchell Robinson blocks 5 shots. But I don't think on a 12-game slate they're going to kill you.
Yeah, that's pretty much right. If you can predict the stocks or Mitch Rob, on occasion, he does have those 17 rebounds, 5 block games. That happens. Facing Memphis tonight. Memphis, this is important to know that Dylan Brooks is doubtful with his thigh. I'm assuming he doesn't play. Nothing official has come through just yet. Triple J, of course, Jaren Jackson Jr., not available until maybe at best December. We know Danny Green's essentially out for the year with his ACL. They lost Melton in the offseason. So this team that used to have a ton of depth is pretty thin now. We know historically whenever Brooks is out, Ja just really, really thrives. Desmond Bane, one of the rising stars in basketball. It's unfortunate that New York plays pretty slow. Last year, they were one of the slowest teams in all basketball. If not the slowest when it comes to pace, but I really, really like Ja as a spend up. He's not going to be popular at all. Bane, people are going to stop at. And then Contra, who is close to a fantasy point minute player, a little bit better on FanDuel, like 0.95 or 0.97, about 0.93 on DK. I think he's stone minimum on FanDuel, so he's the guy that kind of makes stuff work on FanDuel. And we're assuming he draws a start and assuming he plays about 30 minutes as well. Memphis is a good team, despite the fact this matchup is not particularly great. What say you as far as the Grizz?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty interested in some Grizzlies today. I don't have it. I don't think I'm super keen on getting to Ja Morant today. $9,600 on FanDuel, $99 on DraftKings. I think that's something especially on FanDuel where he's actually picking up some ownership. I'm comfortable getting away from that. On DraftKings where he's not, I'd maybe take a shot.
Yeah.
But on FanDuel, I think I'm not going to be getting to much more than maybe a couple percent just in case something crazy happens. Desmond Bane is projecting well with no Dylan Brooks out there. Just over 6K for Desmond Bane freaks me out a little bit. I don't know how I feel about it for sure.
Oh, he's a stud, man. It's a bargain.
That's what everybody's saying.
He's awesome. Yeah, I was talking about on Twitter today. He's the most underrated player in basketball. He's on the fantasy report.
He's not because everybody is saying this.
But
everybody loves Desmond Bane. He's everybody's.
The average Laker fan has no clue who Desmond Bane is.
Fair. It's just he's this community's darling. I'm playing fantasy. I'm in a couple multiple fantasy basketball season long leagues, and people just, oh my gosh, I need Desmond Bane this year. He's the sleeper of the year. He's the underdog of the year. He's gonna have a huge season, and it's coming from everywhere. Maybe that's just my echo chamber.
You're not playing with schmucks. You're playing with sharps.
That's fair, but yeah. Desmond Bane is a good play. He projects very well. I think I'd actually rather take a shot on him in price Conchar instead.
Yeah, I mean, you're okay with it. He's currently on FanDuel 20% projected own. He might even be higher once that news comes out.
Bane's almost 30.
Yeah, but Bane's awesome, and he's kind of underpriced, especially if Brooks doesn't go. He's really, really good. I don't know, and he does more than just hit threes as well. He can pepper the box score to some degree as well. Ja is just more of a tournament thing. Of course, that's not a cash thing. if you play Bane and cash, I'm okay with that. And 28% ownership on FanDuel. DK-wise, as far as ownership in this game, the highest number is Bane at 6-1. Nice 3-point bonus over there. Concher is 12%, 3.7K. And as far as the New York side, like this, nobody else getting ownership in this game altogether. On DK, Randall at 5, Brandon Clark at 2. I'm curious. I assume Clark doesn't start, and it's going to be Concher, but we'll kind of see how that goes. Clark should grab, between 22 and 28 minutes, depending on. But that's this game. It's Bane, it's Ja, and if you want to play someone in New York, I guess you can play Randall. But you were barely even on it. You got pushed off that ledge pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's not really a team I want to get to very much today, New York. But Memphis, Bane's a good play. Conchar's a good play. And if Brandon Clark does end up starting over Conchar, I think he's a solid play as well. And even if, on today's slate, I don't want to play Brandon Clark, but he's somebody I'm going to be interested in throughout the year on smaller ones.
Wait, how could you be a comic guy and not be into Bane? Come on. It's ridiculous. You like your comic books and you like your Batman. How are you not in the Bane?
Because I don't let those silly things influence my money making unless they are a Spidey bomb or a Darth Vader dunk. We're 3 likes away from our first Darth Vader dunk and our as well as our first week free of RG Premium.
Yeah, I guess I suppose I should remind the chat if they're not aware. Put that on the scroll, producer Steve. If you can put it on a scroll, like this, so the people know, that'd be much easier. So I have to keep repeating myself. But yeah, 1 week free of RG Premium every 50 likes we get. Once we get 50 likes, we will announce that. And then once we announce that, we'll prompt you all to hit with a 1. Just hit a 1 in chat, and we'll randomly select somebody. And then you'll slide into my DMs on the old Twitter. Anything else as far as this game?
Nope, that's it. Let's move it on to the next.
Yeah, let's keep going. All right, New Orleans and Brooklyn. 231 is the total. Brooklyn is a 3-point favorite, high and tight, just like we like it. But we live in the world of a salary cap, and Kevin Durant's he's fine. You can always play Kevin Durant. Irving's there as well too. We got Ben Simmons, who's coming at a decent price. He's one of those guys that can get there, despite the fact he only can score 8 points and still pay off his salary. And on New Orleans, we have Zion. Zion's coming back, and he's going to eat off of McCollum. He's going to eat off of Ingram. He's going to eat off of Jonas Valanciunas. And my problem is that, Zion probably doesn't play 35 minutes. I think we got him projected by 28 or something like that. I assume they're not going to fully bring him back right out the gate. But he's going to eat enough that he suppresses McCollum. He suppresses Ingram, suppresses Joe Val. There's a rise out there in our bubble. In the bubble I hear and listen to, and I'm kind of onto as far as Twitter. Oh, Trey Murphy at some point. Not tonight. I wouldn't play Trey Murphy. Just somebody to keep an eye on. Long story short, there's nobody really pops for me as far as price. Despite the fact this game is good, it's not. That's where I'm at.
I think we're going to have more to talk about on the Brooklyn side of things, but on New Orleans, I'm not going to have Zion in my pool of 150 just because of his price on FanDuel. However, I will make X out a couple of those lineups and then make a few specific game stacks of this one that include Zion Williamson. Outside of him, I think Brandon Ingram and Herbert Jones are both interesting tournament plays. Ingram in the mid-tier, Jones for a source of salary relief. He's cheap, and he's going to be playing 30 plus minutes today, and he's a guy who can hit some threes. He can get some defensive stats. So I think he's somewhat interesting for tournaments. On the Brooklyn side of things, though, Kyrie Irving at $8,900 on FanDuel is going to be one of my favorite tournament plays on the slate. Since we are at over 50 likes, if you want to be looking in there for somebody who's hitting the number 1, I will give our first Darth Vader dunk for people to take down tournaments tonight, and it is Tyrese Halliburton, who we mentioned in the very first game of the night, coming in under 20% owned. I love him for tournaments. I think he's just a phenomenal play, and maybe Kyrie Irving is going to be added to the short list of people I like almost as much for tournaments. On FanDuel, more so than DK, because he is priced up there on DraftKings. On DraftKings, I would just rather take the shot on Kevin Durant because he's only $300 more.
Is producer Steve with me? Can you jump on for a second? Can you talk to me? Because I'm in the chat. I'm looking at the chat, and I see a bunch of ones, and I can't handle the pressure. I feel like I'm rejecting if I'm not saying somebody's name, so I'm going to put it on Steve if he's available. Steve, can you pick somebody?
Steve is going to pick the correct. He's going to pick a number 1, and he's going to put it on the screen, and that's going to be who won it. What do you think of these other Brooklyn players outside of Durant and KD? because I think Durant on DraftKings is a strong tournament play. I think Irving on FanDuel is a very strong tournament play. Do you have any interest in Ben Simmons? I think something like, or do you have any interest in Sharp or Claxton?
I mean, Sharp is 3K on DK, and this is one of those things where he's like a good math play. And like maybe Sharp puts up 21 fantasy points, right? Like he's had his moments, and maybe he plays like, I don't know, how many minutes is he even projected for? I was going to say 18. He's projected for 19 minutes. He's like a fantasy point kind of guy. But again, opportunity cost, right? If he puts up a 20 for 3K, like some nights that's usable. Tonight, I don't want a 20 for 3K. I know it's a good math play, whatever. This is not the slate for that. Check back another day where there's a 4 or 5 gamer and there's no value at all on the table. But I can't. I have no interest in that. And I love Claxton. I think Claxton's another guy, really bouncy, good pick and roll guy, lots of energy. But again, you just can't miss at center. And I guess he can play 25 to 30 minutes. So that's kind of what I'm rejected for. But 1% ownership on Claxton, that's on DK. That's really interesting. I don't think I'm doing that. I'm not trying to discourage it, but it's just, again, I don't love on this slate. It says I don't love it. And Simmons, I hate to be the guy like I kind of want to see it, but I kind of want to see him but he's also a guy who can put up like an 8, 7, 12, 3, 2 line. Like he can do that. Like the old school Draymond. Remember Draymond used to do that when like he would put up 45 fantasy points with like 4 actual points in the bucket. In theory, we've seen that out of Simmons. I haven't seen it for a while, obviously. I don't know. But I'm not here to discourage it, but I'm probably not playing it. That's kind of where I'm at. And officially, I like the players. I just don't like how they fit in this slate.
Yeah, I feel very similarly on that one. And Sam McLeod is the winner of 1 week free of RG Premium. Thank you for hitting the like button, Sam McLeod. And we'll be giving away another week free, as well as our second Darth Vader dunk, first being Tyrese Halliburton to take down tournaments today. And they'll get less and less chalky as we go. So make sure you hit the like button. I think that's it for Brooklyn. I think that's it for New Orleans. What do we got next, Dino?
Yeah, just want to, Sam, hit me up on Twitter at DFS_almanac. Just send me a DM and I'll make sure you get the RG Premium. Probably can't do it right this minute, but well, maybe I can. I don't know if you want it right now, but do my best. It'll be hooked up by, at some point later tonight. So get yourself a week free. We'll make it happen for you. Once we get to 100, we'll do the same deal. And thank you, Steve, for taking that burden off of me because I can't take that pressure. All right, we're moving on from Brooklyn and New Orleans. Next game is Cleveland-Toronto. Your Toronto Raptors. 216 is the total. Not very high as far as the total. Of course, Cleveland, newly vamped. They have Donovan Mitchell now is on the Cavaliers. 4-point favorite there in Toronto. Do we have anything official as far as those bigs, as far as let's see. Who do we have those? Well, they're doubtful, right? We're not expecting Boucher to play. We're not expecting Burks to play. I don't really know how much that matters. Yeah, I will throw it to you. Talk about your Raptors first. A team where the minutes are secure, at least for like 4 players, right? Probably 5. But, there's still no incredible value on those minutes.
I think you can totally X out this game, and that's okay.
Yeah,
it's the lowest, if not one of the lowest totals on the slate. It might be a little bit ahead of Denver, Utah, but other than some bench guys who are hurt, like Toronto's a team that people are priced appropriately for the matchup. What I think I'll probably do here is I'm not going to X out that many guys, but I'll set a pretty small maximum cap on them, and I'll go to the build rules setting in lineup HQ. Players per team, and I'm going to cap it at 1 player from the Toronto Raptors and 1 player from the Cleveland Cavaliers. Because on the Raptors side of things, I could see Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam, Gary Trent, one of those guys having a really good game and going off. But just through the game environment, I don't think there's going to be very many people that happens to. And it's the same side of things for the Cleveland. I don't want to play Donovan Mitchell. I don't want to play Darius Garland. They're going to eat into each other. Mitchell's going to, I think, eat into Garland more than Sexton even did. If I'm going to play one of the 2 of them, it's probably going to be Garland. I don't really want to play Mitchell, but I don't want to play either of them on like FanDuel where Darius Garland's 8-1. I'd much rather play him on DraftKings where you get the 3-point bonus and he's cheaper. But I'm just going to set max 1 for both of these guys, for both of these teams. And I'll get a little Jared Allen. I'll get a little Evan Mobley. Maybe I'll get some Siakam and Van Vliet and Trent, but
That's
not going to be a lot.
Siakam. So a lot
Siakam.
A lot of people, novices, people don't know what they're talking about. They're exposed as frauds. They'll say Pascal. Cross that person out. That guy's an idiot. Doesn't know it. Right there, you just expose yourself as being fraudulent. I'm with you. This game, it's happening. I'm not going to yell at you if you play some Siakam. I love Mobley and 5'9" on DK. That's another one of those centers. Now, to be fair, Mobley is a power forward / center, so you can get yourself. It's sometimes you can cheat on DK, get yourself four actual centers there. I expect him to take him a leap. I love his defense, obviously. He's in the mix for me. And as far as ownership on DK, the highest projected guy right now is Garland at 12%, Siakam at about 12%, and Mobley at about 10%. Otherwise, not really much happening as far as this game. I think we can move on in the interest of time. Oh, this is a good one. Houston, Atlanta, 234.5. Atlanta is a big favorite here. They're 10-point favorites here against the Rockets. The Rockets doing their best out the gates as far as the tankathon, although I think they might be a little bit too good to fully tank. We'll see. Their tanks are going to be good this year. Like the San Antonio tank is going to be strong. We'll see about OKC whenever they give mystery injuries to guys like SGA. But Houston is a 10-point dog here. Big old number, 234.5. First time ever going to see Trae Young with the backcourt of DeJounte Murray. Atlanta, worth noting, they are going to be without a couple of their pieces. Bogdanovich, so that's kind of a big piece. Bogdanovich not ready to go. Hunter just signed his big contract. As far as Houston, there is rumblings, as per the Tankathon, that Şengün's not going to start, and it's going to be Bruno Fernando. I don't know if you saw that note per an Athletic article. We'll see. Just kind of speculation that maybe Bruno Fernando will draw the start. 3K, Bruno Fernando on DK for what it's worth. But a lot of people, I'm sure, in your bubble, in my bubble as well, TJ, love themselves some Şengün. They want Şengün season to happen. Of course, Wood is gone there for Houston, so it's opened up in theory. But, and then, of course, Porter and Green, just great tournament plays. The prices on those guys, like Porter, especially on Fanduel, is like 7-4. It's like, whoa. But, like, he's paid that off before. It's definitely happened. And this game stays close. I think, it's because Porter and Green really do their thing out there. Start with the Houston side. You have any preferences amongst the Green and Porter? DK specifically, the DK price for Green at 5.4, I think is really good.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Jalen Green is a just wonderful, wonderful play, cash game play, still a good tournament play. On FanDuel, DeAndre Hunter is nice and cheap. Oh, sorry, I just swapped teams. Whoops. I was looking at our DK screen here. Jalen Green, yeah, nice and cheap. Kevin Porter Jr., 6'5", or even on FanDuel, 7'4". I'm good with playing both of them. I'll still play Jalen Green over on FanDuel. Somewhat interested in Jabari Smith on FanDuel. He's 6'6" on DK, but he's 4'8" on FanDuel. We don't know what this guy's going to be doing yet, and so I'm good over that. It's all good, Steve. You can keep the DraftKings screen on there. I think that's where most people play. I got my FanDuel on the laptop beside me anyway, so it's all good. And so Jabari Smith on FanDuel I think is interesting. Jalen Green on DK I think is one of the best sources of value on the entire slate. Şengün, it's going to be interesting to see if he starts or not. Regardless if he does or not, I'm going to have some of him in tournaments.
Yeah, I just don't know what to do with that situation. But like even if he doesn't start, theoretically he can come off the bench and play 28 minutes, right? Maybe like a Christian Wood situation. We'll see. That's kind of what Wood's going to be projected for tonight for Dallas. He's not starting, but I assume he closes. I assume JaVale McGee does not close, despite the fact it's a revenge game. I don't know why I'm talking about Dallas and Phoenix, but that's just kind of where my brain went. Yeah, Şengün's really, really awesome, tournament-wise. But if he doesn't start, people are just not going to play him, I don't think. Is Fernando worth playing at 3K on DK? Like, that's, again, I keep stressing the point, all the centers on
Nope.
I don't think so either. Like, and depending on how he gets owned and whatever. But
big no.
I think it's a no as well. By the way, your boy Boucher is not playing basketball tonight. Just ruled out. We got a Boucher ruling, but not a Birch ruling? Hold on a second. We got to get both. Okay, they're both out, as expected. Orlando starting lineup is Anthony, Ross, Wagner, Banchero, and Carter Jr. starting tonight for Orlando. Nerlens Noel available in a emergency pinch only. Does not matter. Let's talk about Atlanta. And, Trae Young and Murray, they're gonna kind of eat at each other, right? I think to some degree, their depth is taking a hit without Bogdanovic, especially. You got to assume that's where basically all the usage goes to. Collins is fine too. He's got a pretty good price on FanDuel. I think he's 5.9 over there, which is I think useful if you have a little mini game stack. Do you have a preference amongst Young and Murray? I'm leaning Young.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning Young as well. I have more of a lean to DeJounte Murray on FanDuel, where he's 8.8. He's eligible at two different positions. He's coming in at sub 5% ownership compared to Trae Young's 25% ownership. He gets extra points for the steals and blocks. So if I have more of a lean to Murray, it would be on FanDuel. But Young is still at 9.1 over there as a borderline cash game play. And then you got DeAndre Hunter is nice and cheap on FanDuel as well at 4.4. John Collins 5.9. So Atlanta is a lot more appealing to me on FanDuel than they are on DraftKings. On DraftKings, I think they're all just decent tournament plays, but I have less interest in Collins and Hunter over there.
I see a question in chat that I don't like. I think it's worth pointing out. Hedge Fantasy wants to know, like, DK Cash, John Morant or DeJounte Murray. And my answer is neither. I don't think either one of them are part of the cash game build. Doesn't make any sense to me. Halliburton is much better dollar for dollar at 7.2K. KPJ is 6.5 over there. I like him a good bit. Cunningham is 7K. I don't like either of those. If you're gonna spend that much, get the Luka. But just the way the cash game build works, I don't believe it's either one of those. It's not saying that Morant and Murray are bad plays, but they're tournament plays for me. It's 9.9 for Morant, and Murray's in the 9s as well, I believe. So that's where I'm at on that. I'm not sure if you're playing cash tonight, but neither one of those would fit the cash game build for me.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think for me personally, I'm going to be looking to either of those guys in my main lineup today.
And I just pulled up our expert rankings, and that all kind of backs it up, by the way, which is, dollar for dollar. Halliburton, Porter, Cunningham, Luka. Trey Jones is really, really cheap. We'll talk about the Spurs soon enough. They are so cheap on DK. DK forgot they traded away their players or just doesn't care. Yeah. All right. And I would play probably, I have two people ranked Morant, but like 8th and 6th. I actually was the highest person to rank Morant, but do not envision him in my cash game lineup. We got anything else here? No, Hunter's like a kind of a cheap play on FanDuel. I'm not sure if you mentioned that. I was reading the chat.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not excited about it, but like if it makes stuff work, whatever, but I'm not excited to play DeAndre Hunter. I'm good for him. He got paid, but are you ever thrilled to play DeAndre Hunter? Not really, right?
No, not really. I think I'm going to be making a group right now. I don't want to be limiting the amount of Atlanta players I have because I think that could be a very high-scoring game. But I'm making a rule right now. I won't have more than one of Young and Murray in a lineup. I won't have more than one of John Collins and DeAndre Hunter in a lineup just because I don't want to fill up those positions with two guys from the same teams unless I'm full game stack in that game. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it right now. I might do a game stack or two, but then the optimizer won't be building any of those for me.
Sam McLeod won our 1 week free of RG Premium earlier in the 50 likes. And shout out to him. He's listening to us in the grocery store. I just asked him, I just DM'd him what his RG screen name was so I can put the, get that, turn it on for him, get the 1 week free. And he's hanging out at the grocery store. He's listening to a little bit of basketball. I appreciate that. Multitasking. All right, we're moving on, right? Getting away from this game?
Yeah, let's do it.
My Miami Heat are home versus Chicago Bulls or whatever's left of them. 8-point favorite here. 216 is the total. Pretty big favorite. Not a big total. Miami's not a team you really want to mess with necessarily. Certain, good defensive team. Chicago, in theory, there's some value plays here. It's weird that Levine's not going to play, and I still don't love anybody here in Chicago. If you want to play some Caruso, you can. I mean, Double D's the DeMar DeRozan. Like if they stay in this game, if Chicago hangs around, it's probably because DeRozan does his thing. But he's somebody to overachieve last year. Maybe he will continue to do so this year. But he's just really heavily priced. I think Kobe White is kind of sort of someone interesting on FanDuel, where he's really cheap, 3.7K. Like in theory, he can put 20 points in the bucket. That's how he kind of sort of has to get there because that's just what he does. Not really going to contribute other spots. But it's odd that Chicago is missing Levine, and still it's just like, I mean, Ayo DeSomo, if you want to play him, sure, have at it. I don't like the Bulls just as a general thought. I'm okay in punting with White, who we're projecting to start ahead of Caruso. Do you like anything here in Chicago? I feel like we should, but I don't.
I think they're fine. They still got a low total. It's going to be a low-scoring game. This is another team where I'm good with DeRozan, I'm good with Vucevic, and I'm good with Kobe White, but I'm only going to play one. And so White is specifically FanDuel. If Caruso entered the starting lineup, like Caruso Dosunmu, maybe I just have like the slightest amount of interest in. Like Io's only 4.1 on FanDuel. But this is another team that I'm going to be limiting it. Max one a guy on from the Bulls.
The Miami side, this is kind of one of the things I was alluding to on DK as far as centers. Bam Adebayo, just completely egregious, the price, in my opinion. 6.4K on DK. Probably one of your cash game centers. I say centers because I think it's a 2-center night on DK. If you haven't figured that out, I've been alluding to that throughout the entire show. 6.4 on DK. Like, what are we talking about? That's egregious. That's insulting the Bam, right?
Yeah, it is. Having said that, like, I do think that's somewhat interesting as a tournament fade if he is going to be mega chalky on DraftKings, because I don't know if Bam has like that 60-point ceiling in him. You know what I mean? And now he doesn't need that at that price tag, but I think you could get away with fading in tournaments. But I agree with you. I think he's one of your cash game centers on DraftKings. And then I'm not really interested in playing any others. Like Tyler Herro, maybe a little bit on FanDuel. Maybe on DraftKings too. Like you could sprinkle them, but other than that, I'm not really looking to get to these guys at all.
Oh, I love your boy Andre in chat's talking about, Miami basically added one player in the offseason. Nikola, it's important you pronounce this correctly because people can get excited. Nikola Jovic has been added for Miami. And like, come on, we're not playing Nikola Jovic on a 12-game slate. We're not doing that. I'm excited too. As a Miami Heat fan, I know Andre's a Heat fan as well, but we're not playing Nikola Jovic.
I don't think we have him projected in lineup HQ.
No, I mean, he's probably projected for a few minutes, right? I would imagine.
I don't think so.
I don't have that game pulled up, but I mean, come on. And somebody else said Andre Drummond too. And it's like, you're basically betting on a Vuk getting in foul trouble or like severe blowout time, which like,
like those are good. Like the Drummond thing, that's something you take a shot on a 4-game slate.
Andre is saying he's 3.3K and 100. Oh, come on, man. What is this projection? Does he not have a projection at all?
No.
I feel like he would play. Is he not projected to play in this game?
He's not projected. He's not in lineup HQ.
Come on, Andre. Why? Yeah, you have 81 other games to play him. You don't have to play him tonight. Maybe we'll see. Maybe he plays 15 minutes or something like that. Butler's
got almost 300 people watching now, so make sure you hit the like button because every 50 likes we're giving away one free week of RG Premium. Mr. McLeod already won one of them, and we get another Darth Vader dunk tournament play to take down some GPPs. First one was Tyrese Halliburton, and I got a nice second one coming as well. I want to get 3 before the crunch time guys come in, which I think is possible if we get up to 300 viewers.
I disagree with our 0 minutes projection for Jovic for the record, but I do not think he plays enough to even be worth noting. And Andre's right. Miami is thin at the 4. They're thin up front, but Dwayne Dedman, Duncan Robinson can play the 4 in theory. All right, let's move on. Like Jimmy Butler, you playing him? He's playing basketball tonight. He's fine, but
no.
All right, let's move on. We're talking about this is the game, right? I think this is the game. You tell me otherwise. This is the game that DFS players love, right? Charlotte and San Antonio, 222 is the total. It's high and it's pretty high, but it's as tight as it gets. It's a pick-up, right? Obviously, and again, this is more so just kind of messing around with lineup building. I think it's more so DK than it is FanDuel, but especially on San Antonio's side. And again, DK completely goofed this up. Murray's gone for San Antonio. They're going to be full tankathon, but until we get there, problem is we might see like 11 or 12 guys play because it's pop. But Devin Vassell, big body Keldon Johnson, Pirtle, another center, just all these guys too cheap. And then Trey Jones at 4.2K, the starting point, we presume. Lineup's not official just yet. And on the other side, Charlotte's without Ball and they're without Bridges. So they're severely weakened. 2 of their top players last season. So it's going to be Kelly Oubre season or Terry Rozier season, who's going to just get all the usage in the world. Gordon Hayward, I don't know how to adjust to his new haircut. I'm not sure if you've seen it, Slight downgrade. I think it was a slight downgrade in my projections, but like in theory, he's healthy as he's going to be. Start of the season. Man, this is a great little stack. If you want to do like a 2-2 or a 3-3 or a 3-2 or something like that. Again, 12 gamer, and then get some studs around it, because the pieces in this game are super, super cheap, especially the San Antonio side, especially on DK. What say you as far as Charlotte, San Antonio? You as excited about this game as I am?
Not really. I do like it. I think Rozier is one of the first cash game locks of the slate on both sites. Keldon Johnson on DraftKings is a great the Spurs on DraftKings. Yes, I would make a rule no matter how many lineups I had on DraftKings, I would have at least one of Devin Vassell and Trey Jones. That would be something I would just kind of decide. I think Keldon Johnson I would want to get to a lot of as well. Outside of that, that's probably about it. The Pirtle chalk is some chalk I'd want to pivot away from on such a big slate. Yes, he projects well, but he has a tendency of getting in a lot of foul troubles. Who knows how many minutes he's going to play, because they're probably going to try and trade him this year.
That's happening.
I think that's some chalk that I'm looking to get off of. And so I love Devin Vassell. I like Trey Jones and Keldon Johnson. I love Terry Rozier. And I like Gordon Hayward and Kelly Oubre Jr. But outside of that, I don't have a lot of interest.
Yeah. Vassell, by the way, just pulling up the projections, is 27% projected owned on DK. Rozier on the Charlotte side at 26%. Keldon Johnson is 20% at 5'9". Give me that. Pirtle, by the way, you said Pirtle chalk. I don't know. 18% is not chalk to me necessarily. Again, he's one of those center and center only on DK, and the position's really, really strong. I like him, but I don't know how much I'm prioritizing him. Trey Jones at 4.2 is really, really cheap. And Oubre, who's like, I don't know how much. Well, what's your lifelong experience with Kelly Oubre? He's just so volatile. He looks so bad sometimes. He looks awesome at other times. And he's certainly going to have the opportunity to shine tonight.
Yeah, that's another one that unless it's a full game stack, I'm making a rule of only one of Kelly Oubre, Gordon Hayward today, because I don't really think it's going to be both of them that has a big one. I mean, I guess it could be both of them instead of Rozier, but this is a high total game because they're two bad teams and it's nice and close. Like, it's a pick 'em game right now. But because of how bad both of these teams are, it just has the possibilities of getting so ugly. So if it's going to be chalky, it might be one I'm a little underweight on. We'll see.
All right. I believe we've hit 100 likes. Can you confirm that?
No, we are at 84.
Oh, I see people in the chat dropping a 1. We got to get to 100. Yeah. Okay. So never mind. See, people are prematurely
dropping their ones, and we don't want to be premature here. So let's focus back up on basketball a little bit. Hit the like button. We got 300 people watching. Come on, we're giving away free weeks. We're giving away our favorite Darth Vader's favorite tournament plays. Let's do it. Let's hit the next game.
I don't trust Darth Vader. I feel like I thought that's like a fade. Whatever he picks, you don't play him. Like, he's going to swerve you. No?
It's his play.
That's it. Well, okay. Well, he's sharing it. All of a sudden, he's in the sharing.
Well, I'm his emperor in this. I'm the Palpatine in this situation. I am forcing him to.
Cleveland Picker in chat saying a free square is Terrence Ross, and he's never been a free square.
Definitely not a free square, but he's worth talking about, even though we glossed over him before, because he's starting for the Magic now.
Okay.
He's starting at the 2 over Jalen Suggs.
But was Suggs dealing with an injury? Is that what it is? They're trying to baby his minutes? What's the story there?
Maybe they're trying to stagger Suggs Anthony a little bit, so they always have one of them running the 1. And so I think that's a situation we have to monitor for Suggs on a slate this big. I don't think you can play Suggs. Ross, I think it's dangerous because I think that could be it's possible that that's just a placeholder starter. If he doesn't shoot 100% from 3 and he's just a floater in this game, he'll play 12 minutes, even though he's a placeholder starter. However, he's also the type of guy that can get hot and put up mega games. So I think he's worth considering if I'm playing 150, but other than that, I'm not getting any Terrence Ross. But I do think Suggs moving to the bench makes Cole Anthony more interesting, especially on FanDuel where he's 5'8", because that'll probably up his assist rate and usage rate a little bit.
About 25 minutes, you guys, and if you're not aware, if you're just tuning in now, premium Crunch Time is no longer premium thanks to FanDuel. It sponsors Crunch Time. Chief Mineralogist Kevin Roth is going to host it. You got SDL Cardinals talking tournament plays, and Andy. Andy's going to really set you guys up if you're playing cash games tonight. He lays it out where if you're paying attention, I mean, look, you can't necessarily flat out build a lineup, but if you're paying attention, you'll kind of know what he's saying, and you'll be really, really well positioned as far as cash games tonight. Andy Means will hook you all up in about 25 minutes. They'll be joining the show. Favorite play on Charlotte, favorite play on San Antonio before we move on.
Favorite play on Charlotte, it's site dependent. So on Charlotte, it's always Terry Rozier, but on San Antonio, I guess it's still Devin Vassell on both sides.
I like Rozier, my favorite play on Charlotte. I'm going to say the big body of Keldon Johnson. I like Vassell too, Vassell, and they're probably both getting my cash lineup on DK. Probably going to get Johnson and Vassell. I don't know if I'm going to get Jones as well. I haven't built it just yet. I don't know if I want 3 Spurs. Theoretically, you can have 3 Spurs. They are cheap enough, and they're well positioned enough. That game should be pretty fun from a DFS perspective. OKC, Minnesota, 225.5 is a total. Minnesota, 11-point favorite. Minnesota, of course, rehaul their team. They're adding Rudy Gobert. Twin Towers going old school with Cat at the 4. OKC, as far as we know, nobody's been scratched just yet. Coming into the year, there was rumblings that SGA might not be ready, but as far as we know, he will be available tonight. Giddey was really, really good in the preseason. If this game stays close, I think Giddey and SGA are having a good time out there, keeping it close versus Minnesota. And you pretty much know where the points are going to come from the Minnesota side. Cat, Edwards, and then, Gobert with the boards and the blocks and Russell distributing to some degree. What do you like in the OKC-Minnesota game?
So on the OKC side, we got a question here. When we get to OKC, can you please discuss which of their core players you think correlate well on DK? On DK, to be perfectly honest with you, I don't think I'd play a single player from OKC. I don't think there'd be one that's in my pool. I would just it'd be hitting the X button on every single one of them. They're big underdogs. They're tanking. They're on the road. They're going to be playing a whole bunch of different guys. I think you can play Josh Giddey on FanDuel, and I don't think you can play anybody else.
Okay, here's my thought. By the way, I did make a FanDuel, not DK, but FanDuel. I paired SGA with Giddey and Gobert. Gobert's got a nice FanDuel price. His game leans towards FanDuel with all those blocks. You catch him in those ceiling games, he's going to have 6 or 7 stocks, get 3 points over there. SGA's got a nice price at 8-1. I like that price. And Giddey, you mentioned at 6K. So I don't mind those 3 being played together. And as far as your tanking thought in OKC, I like them as big dogs because the tanking takes care of itself. They don't have to go out of their way to do goofy stuff. They're just going to lose organically. That's just how it goes. They're supposed to.
What I mean by that though is they're not going to be playing their top guys heavy minutes. Like we're not going to be looking for. If I was getting 35 minutes of Shy at 8,100, yeah, I'd be very interested. But we have him projected at 28 right now, so maybe that gets pushed 31, 32. But still, there's just other guys on the slate that I'd rather pay that same price for, who are very similar players, but are going to be playing 5 more minutes today. So I don't mind, having said that, I don't mind hand building what you did and saying, I think they're going to play a good game and I think they're going to play more minutes, and then running it back with, like, say, I'll play Giddey and I'll play Shy, and maybe even I'll mix in a Poku or somebody like that, a Dort, somebody like that, a third player, and then
I'm not doing that. That's crazy talk. But yeah.
Okay, but then or like run it back with more on the Minnesota side, like not just Gobert, but also Anthony Edwards or Jaden McDaniels, even somebody like that. So I think if I were to play Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, it would be in a mini stack of this game. Otherwise, I would not play him at all.
So maybe my point wasn't clear. I feel more confident, and now that it is opening day and SGA was getting not fully, they were not fully confident he was going to play. So maybe his minutes are subdued. Maybe 28 is correct. I guess the overarching point in general, I feel better playing OKC players in games they're supposed to lose, as opposed to them being home versus like Indiana, a game they might possibly win by accident. And then I'm afraid their minutes will get knocked down. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. I just don't know how relevant that is on a 12-game slate when they got the second lowest total on the slate.
Yeah, because they're gonna lose anyway.
It's just Minnesota's a really good defensive team.
We're not sure, but they should definitely get better.
They're going to be. Towns has always been better when he's allowed to move around as opposed
Edwards
to
is
when
terrible
he just stays there. But they're going to be like Jaden McDaniels is their starting 3. He's got like a 6'11" wingspan and he can move. They're going to be a good defensive team this year. They're going to be tough to score on at the rim.
Oh, I would think so.
Like that's the only reason Utah's ever been good defensively is Donovan Mitchell was a horrific defender, but you just funnel people to Gobert, and so they'll be able to do that with Edwards now.
SGA was an incredible driver to the basket too. And again, it's not. This is a Fanduel like shot in the dark tournament lineup I made just because, but it's not a good math play. I would say that. Like just to be clear, I'm not endorsing it, but that's why it's a tournament play. I'm shooting for the top of that one. You mentioned Utah, and it's not your friend of 1 year ago's Utah Jazz. The Jazz are in full-fledged tank mode. Denver Nuggets at the Jazz, 225.5 is the totals. They're only 7-point dogs at home. Historically, a tough place to play, and like you said, like Utah, historically a great defensive team. The absence of Gobert will change things. Gobert turning into the likes of Kelly Olynyk, Lauri Markkanen. They have this rookie Walker Kessler. I'm told he's good at blocks, but good luck messing with the MVP Nikola Jokic on the other side. Of course, Jamal Murray back for Denver. His minutes will be subdued from the start to some degree, so I'm not playing him. Jokic on DK at 10-3 is egregious. Fanduel got it right, and he's not hitting optimals, which is really interesting because Jokic can put up a 70-burger at any given time, and it wouldn't surprise any of us. And I'm making sure I'm going to have more than the field on Jokic. A little bit of an overspend on Fanduel, but again, I think you still like your lineups around it. I'm curious what you're doing with Jokic. And again, he's powerful or eligible over there as well.
I like Jokic today. And are you ready for me to contradict everything I just said in the last game?
Well, that's what we do as touts, right?
I weirdly like the Jazz today. And I weirdly like some of these Jazz players quite a bit. You can run him back with as cheap run backs with Jokic on the other side. But why I don't like these OKC guys is because they're going to be playing 12 guys and they're priced all the same way as they were last year. For Utah, Colin Sexton's not a $5,900 player. Like, I don't care that it's Utah. Colin Sexton is not a $5,900 player. We were paying $8K for him last year at times, if not at least high $7Ks. He should have the green light to do whatever the heck he wants here alongside Mike Conley. If one of their minutes is going to get restricted at all, I'm assuming it'll be Mike Conley's. We're projecting Colin Sexton right now for 28 minutes, and I think he could get there in 28 minutes. And if he doesn't, and if he is doing well, and if he gets more than that, I think he could absolutely smash this $5,900 price tag we got for him on FanDuel. What's his price tag over on DraftKings?
Sexton you're talking about?
Yeah.
5'9", 1% projected ownership.
Yeah. So we're at 100 likes, over 100 likes. There is Dean is gonna be ready to look at the screen.
Oh no, Producer Steve has been crushing it.
Steve's gonna be ready to pick one now. He's gonna throw it up on the screen. But my second Darth Vader dunk play that I love for tournaments, and I want to give a third. So hopefully we get up to 150 likes, so we can give away a third subscription and a third pick here because I want to give a third tournament one. But number 2 is Colin Sexton because nobody's playing him today. Technically, Sexton should have been 3 because he's the least owned one, but we're just talking about the team, so I want to drop it anyway. And I think you can take shots on Lauri Markkanen. I think you can take shots on Jared Vanderbilt. I think you can take shots on Kelly Olynyk. Vanderbilt, probably more so just on DraftKings where he's a little bit cheaper, and I don't think you need to. He's more of something I'd maybe sprinkle if I was running 150. And then on Olynyk, more so on FanDuel where he's 4,600. And again, this is just a 150 sprinkle, not a strong target for me. But Markkanen, I think, is quite interesting, and Colin Sexton, I like quite a bit.
1 week free to RGA Premium. Just put a 1 in chat. Producer Steve's going to pick you guys. Drop a 1, you get yourself. And it's not just NBA. It's all the sports, every sport with the exception of NASCAR. You get the optimizer. You get the projections. You get the articles. You get the expert rankings. You get the expert survey. All the goods. I like your theory, too, by the way. One of the lives I made before the show was with Jokic. I didn't play Sexton. I don't like Sexton. And I think guards are pretty strong. So it's not happening for me, but market in good preseason. He can fill it up. And Kelly Olynyk, whenever he gets a chance, he's not a great basketball player, but he's a good fantasy basketball player. There's some threat of him getting the foul trouble. If they're throwing him on Jokic, good luck. And that feels like it's 2 fouls on layaway. But, tournaments, and he's cheap, and he's a good fantasy point minute player. So I like running a couple of those cheap Utah Jazz with Jokic. I don't know anybody else in Denver. Do you? Just Jokic, nobody else?
Just Jokic. Hey, Cloud Kicker. They've been telling people to hit the like button. They've been commenting in the chat, doing a good job, keeping it polite and supporting. So great job. That's a win for them. 1 free week free to RG Premium. Make sure you DM Dean on Twitter or on whatever. And
you don't know my Twitter. It's okay.
DFS _Dean F926.
Yeah.
Falcon.
So just send me a DM on the old Twitter machine. I'll get it turned on for you. DFS _Almanac. My Twitter's probably on the screen. I think it's on the screen right now, isn't it? So yeah, Kit, just send me a DM and we'll get you turned on for 1 week free of RG Premium. We're here for about 10 more minutes until we yield to the Crunch Time crew of
and only need 30 more likes, and we'll be able to give away another free week, and we'll get my other free play in. But we still got a couple of other games that I want to spend a bit of time talking about. So let's let people hit the like button, and let's rip through these so we can ask a couple questions before crunch time.
I don't want to answer this question. It's a tough question, but it's a good question. Brandon's got a question in chat. Is it okay to get away from 2 centers on DK? Like, I'm probably not doing that. I have to force myself to do it. But I think it's okay. Yeah, can you do that? Yeah, but like
you can do that in tournaments. I wouldn't suggest doing that in cash games.
Correct.
In cash games, I think you go, and they'll talk about this more in crunch time. But for me, I think in cash games on DraftKings, you're playing Jokic and you're playing Bam tonight.
So just for funsies, I ran a bunch of optimal lineups earlier. Geez, never mind. Hold on a second. I'm going to run them again because I don't think Jokic was appearing in, which I thought was interesting on DK and on Fanduel too. He's just not appearing in the optimals, and people just.
So you brought that up earlier, and on that note, that's actually something I do want to touch on because it's something I've noticed pretty significantly.
Yeah.
Is throughout the industry, what I always like doing, and I've always loved doing this, is I like to compare, since I've started winning enough money to be able to do this, I like to compare the projections throughout the industries. I'll buy all of them, and then I'll compare, see where there's differences, and see where I can maybe take my own personal stands on people. And for MLB and for NFL so far this year, like no matter where you look, the top plays are differentiated by just a couple points. Some players, if say Jonathan Taylor is a really strong play 1 week, he'll be projected 21 points somewhere, 22 points somewhere, 20 or 20.5 somewhere.
All the same.
It's not for NBA. I don't know if it's due to all the different people in different places this year. I don't know if it's people weighting things differently, but
it's also opening night. There's more fragility opening night than there is like 20 games.
Yes, exactly. And more fragility from opening night. But I've noticed that like other places, Jokic pops in the optimal a lot more, and it's not because he's projected for all that more. It's just it will be 1 or 2 points, but it'll be other people will be projected a lot less, so that Jokic's score will pop a lot more. Then all of a sudden he'll be popping up in the optimals. And then this was the same for like last night. I think Tyrese Maxey was projected 10 points different in different places. Wow. Like I think we had him projected for 35. I saw others that had him projected for 25, and I think he finished with like 30 right in the middle. But it's due to it being right at the beginning of the season, different placed people in different places. I think the optimals you get are going to be different depending on what site you're using.
14% Jokic landing in DK optimals for what it's worth. You're getting Pirtle and Bam is the most popular center combination on DK. 3 Spurs and 2 players playing for Memphis. Won't give the entire thing away, obviously.
I'd rather play the guard Spurs or big body and then run with Jokic as my center there on DraftKings. I'm not playing on DraftKings, full disclosure, but that's what I would do.
I'm pretty sure Jokic will be my cash game center, or one of them. We'll see. We got to go quick now. 2 games left out of the 12. And again, whatever we don't get to, Andy and Cards, they're going to clean up. They're going to give you around the horn, favorite plays, position by position, all that good stuff. We got Dallas, Phoenix, 218 is the total. Dallas, I think really the only strong play here is Luka. Besides that, like nobody else getting some ownership. I don't hate Wood off the bench, but he still probably closes and plays 28 minutes, give or take. But to me, that's the only real good play on Dallas. We've seen Cam Johnson get as a cheapie on FanDuel be playable. Otherwise, I mean, Ayton's got a pretty good price on DK at 6.2K. This to me is not a very enthralling game, and we have to go fast, but give me your thoughts.
Yeah, I feel similarly. I think you can play Luka Doncic. I think he's a very strong play. He's very affordable on FanDuel. I'm going to be interested in getting to him. Devin Booker over there is 8,300. If we can get Steve popping up the screen share so I can compare the DK prices again, that'd be fantastic. But Doncic, both sites, I'm interested in playing. Devin Booker, I don't know if I'm going to be getting to him at $8,300 on FanDuel. Dallas is a good defense. DeAndre Ayton, on the other hand, at 7K, that's somebody I might play. 6.2 on DK, I like that as well. But Devin Booker, especially on DraftKings, I'm not going to get there. On FanDuel, maybe, but I don't really want to all that much. Cam Johnson on FanDuel is one of the better value plays of the slate. We're not getting Jay Crowder for them anymore, so he should be getting full minutes as a starter. He is a little 3-point dependent. He's been getting better throughout his career at picking up some more rebounds and getting into that a little bit more. But he is somebody that if he coming up to lock, we're feeling like he's going to be really chalky, I might want to get underweight on in tournaments on FanDuel. But he is a very good source of value, and I think he's a potential cash game play too.
All right, let's move on. Let's knock out the hammer game, last game on the slate. It's Portland and Sacramento, a game that DFSers are going to love as well. 229 is the total. 3-point favorite Sacramento versus Portland. Not a revenge game, but an narrow game for Lillard going back to home. I think he was born in Oakland, if I'm not mistaken. Pretty cheap on FanDuel. And Sabonis is kind of cheap too. I like pairing those two together. Herter is in, by the way, if you saw that. Kevin Herter is going to be playing some basketball tonight for Sacramento. Your thoughts? Feel free to go on both sides as far as Portland and Sacramento. But to me, Sabonis is a really good big spend. And I like Lillard specifically on FanDuel where the price is pretty more palatable. But otherwise, nothing else really gets me terribly excited. Nurkic, if you're running 150, I would get at least a pinch of him. He shows splashes of those ceiling games, but he's a little volatile as well. And sometimes he's out of shape. But your thoughts as far as Portland and Sacramento?
My favorite game of the night for tournaments. We got a 116 to 113 spread, and we know where the production is coming from. This is going to be a little bit different than a game like a team like the Spurs and Charlotte, where they're going to both of those teams are probably going to play a bunch of different guys. Sorry, the Spurs more so than Charlotte, where that game is picking up a ton of ownership. Then we got these other games where guys are missing that are going to be getting a lot of exposure. But this one, I think, is going to be falling between the cracks a little bit because of how late it is at night. And it's one of my favorite games to stack of the slate. So on the Sacramento side, I love both Sabonis and Fox. I'm okay with playing them together as long as I'm playing them with somebody from Portland. And I really like both of these guys for tournaments. Sabonis is going to be getting ownership, so he's not as strong of a tournament play as he is on FanDuel as he is on DraftKings. But I still really like him at that power forward eligibility on FanDuel. And then on the other side of things, I like Nurkic a lot. I like Jeremy Grant a lot. I think he's a really good tournament play. I like him more on DraftKings where he's cheaper. But Jeremy Grant, I think, is a player you can get to. Josh Hart, I think you can. He's probably my least favorite of Portland's 4 that I'm going to be playing. But I do still not mind him as well. And then Damian Lillard at 8.2K on FanDuel. He's not projecting very well, so I don't think he's going to get a lot of ownership. He's been shooting like trash in the preseason. I don't care. It's Damian Lillard. He can turn it on in a second at times. And so this is going to be one of my favorite tournament game stacks of the slate.
I wish we had more time to answer questions in chat. Typically, we would knock out as many questions as possible in chat. The Crunch Time crew coming in shortly. I do see prospects saying Eric Gordon is way too cheap. I have no clue how much he is. I'm not playing Eric Gordon. It's just not happening for me on this slate. Andre likes Hart and Sabonis as well. I saw somebody ask earlier, Sabonis or Gobert. I prefer Sabonis over Gobert. I like them both, but if you're just going to ask me that in a vacuum, give me Sabonis. What say you?
Me too, 100%.
By the way, give a refresh to the ownership percentage stuff for FanDuel specifically. You talked about Lillard, going to be kind of ignored. Nope. 29% right now currently on FanDuel. Sabonis.
Never mind. That's my bad. Yeah, that one hadn't updated. I'll refresh the page here. It was still, it just had like the dashes, but I just saw his, his projection went up too, and that's why it's been fixed. I see. When last I looked at his projection, it was like 36 points.
Yeah, now he's at 41 points.
And now it's up to 41, and so the ownership goes along with it. I think that makes more sense.
See, this is the thing, and like I don't know, I'm not picking at anybody, but somebody says Trey Lyles is stupid cheap. I just don't think this is a night where I have to play the Trey Lyleses of the world. I just don't think.
Yeah, because like who knows? Like, what if we're projecting him to start right now, and yes, maybe he does, but what if he plays 14 minutes because Rashawn Holmes has a good game? KZ Okpala ends up getting in. Chimezi Metu gets in. They got too many.
He's fragile rotation. Sacramento historically,
Whereas the only player outside of Fox and Sabonis I'd consider sprinkling in would be either Barnes or Herter. Barnes, I just don't think has the fantasy ceiling to play on a 12-game slate. Herter is cheap enough that I think maybe you can take a shot on, but I still don't really think I'm going to.
Give us hit the ones one more time. I think we're right around 150. We're assuming we're gonna get to 150. We don't want to put the pressure on Roth and on.
Give us 5 more likes here, quick, everybody, so that before the crunch time guys get in here, you can start putting your ones in now, and Steve will choose. But we're not going to give it away unless we get to 50. So make sure you hit that like 5 more times. And in the meantime, I'll give away my 3rd Darth Vader dunk tournament play to help you take down a GPP. And today that is going to be Kyrie Irving in his first game of the season for the Brooklyn Nets. Got him projected at 9% ownership over on FanDuel right now. He's 8.9K. I like Kyrie quite a bit today, and I think he is going to be a phenomenal tournament option.
Eric Gordon, 4K on FanDuel, by the way. Like, how does he beat me? Like, the chat's talking about me mushing Eric Gordon. He's 4.8 on DK, and like, he's not somebody they're looking to develop. We're projecting about 28 minutes for him. I suppose in theory he can like knock 7 threes, which has happened historically, within the last calendar year possibly. But you know what? If Eric Gordon beats me on a 12-game slate, so be it. That's where we're at. Producer Steve, be on alert. Go ahead and pick one more person to give 1 week away to the RG Premium. How about this? Your favorite stack of the night?
Favorite game stack of the night is going to be the very last one, Portland and Sacramento. And Snow Fanatic, a big fan of Snow, a fellow Canadian. Their display picture almost looks like it might have been taken literally in Saskatchewan, where I live.
Yeah.
Because that is very much what it looks like in the wintertime during a sunset. That kind of looks like it could be a park in my backyard. Congrats, Snow Fanatic. Fire Dean a DM, and you've won a week free of RG.
Who loves Snow? Like, who's a fanatic for Snow?
Like, hold on. We got the crunch time guys popped in right now. Somebody just asked me a FanDuel GPP question that I want to answer quick before we give away, and it was, in a FanDuel GPP, would you rather play Isaiah Stewart or Jalen Smith in a last piece? I don't really love either of them. To be honest, I think I'd rather take a shot on somebody like an MPJ, $100 more, or a Jabari Smith, a little less. But I guess unless that was the J Smith you were referring to over Jalen Smith. But I think Jabari Smith or Michael Porter would be my favorite in that group of power forwards.
Jalen Smith officially ruled in, by the way, for what it's worth. We missed that one, but we kind of assumed he was going to play tonight for Indiana. Going to bring in Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. Going to bring in STL Cards, whose mic's not going to give out because it's not exactly at 6:30 on the East Coast. Cards, can you
don't make fun of me, man? I just sat in no offense to Devin, but I just sat in a StreamYard thing with Devin for 40 minutes trying to troubleshoot this, and we just waited for the 15-minute intervals to see if it was going to do it. And I have officially, for now, gone back to the Yeti mic. because the new mic, which is the same one that Roth has, just appears like it's the problem. So we've gone back to the Yeti mic, and we did 3 test intervals, Devin and I, and it did not mute once. So if it mutes during the show, I am probably going to lose my mind.
You just came in hot. I triggered you pretty good.
Yeah, screw you, Dean.
It keeps happening.
I was just trying to say hello. What's
Hi,
up,
Dean.
Andy? You want to yell at me too?
No, you're
I'm enjoying the show.
Welcome to NBA.
Well, hey, Andy, it's good to talk to you. Typically, you're just like telling me how I goofed up on things. Like, it's week 4. Can you please have it posted by this time? Eventually, you'd figure this out. I'm trying to be nice. But Wednesday night and Thursday morning are 2 different things.
Cards, do I ever tell you that you goofed up?
Oh, yeah, that's his job.
No, he says it in the nicest way. I feel like, oh man, Andy must think I'm the biggest dope. I'm always screwing, like I'm doing it on purpose now.
It's never delivered in any way, shape, or form rudely, but I always just feel like he's a disappointed dad every time I do something wrong, and I'm just like, he hates me. He hates me.
Don't disappoint me.
Andy just casually every once in a while just say, you know what, Dean, you're doing okay.
What's your biggest error, Dean?
How about I come off the top rope from now on and I just start dropping people's elbows and
Dean,
stuff?
what do you get yelled at the most for, Dean?
So the NFL.
Well, we have news, by the way. Miles Turner just got ruled out.
Whoa,
and
really?
See you guys later. Andy, you got it.
That is a big deal. Interesting. All right. Well, did he just get traded or something? Why would he get?
Yeah, are they tanking already? Man, game 1 tank. Let's do it.
So the answer to that previous question is definitely Jalen Smith is your last piece in tournaments.
Oh boy, yeah. Well, Andy, we're gonna step aside and let you guys break that down. Myself,
my mic doesn't work now. My mic doesn't work. I don't know.
That's why you tune into this show. Like the stuff that happens actually like live right now, and just kind of adapting to the news is super, super important. Of course, Andy, you're going to go around, give your favorite cash plays on FanDuel and DK as well. But the people are going to want to hear you break down in the end. I'm trying to buy you some time. And, of course, get yourself prepped as far as the cash games as well. But I'm going to adjust because I have some Turner on FanDuel as well. Not on DK, thankfully, but we'll figure it out. Roth, hello and goodbye.
Hello, goodbye. Excellent work as always, Dean. I appreciate you, man.
All right, Roth, take it away.
Yep. All right. Hey, welcome to it. This is it. This is Crunch Time. It is sponsored by FanDuel. And if you haven't signed up for the FanDuel Sportsbook in a legal sports betting state, what are you doing? Do it. Sign up. Take advantage of their bonus offer. Bet $5, get $150 in free bets and a free 3-month pass to NBA League Pass, which I need. I don't have NBA League Pass, and I feel like not having that is the equivalent of not having NFL Red Zone, which I also don't have, and is like
no, that's the equivalent to not having the direct ticket or whatever it's called. That would be the equivalent for
that's
NFL.
True. That's true.
NBA needs an NFL Red Zone.
I just watch whatever. That would be cool. I don't know how that would work. It really wouldn't.
It's kind of be like they could steal from us like crunch time, like the last 6 minutes of a game or something in a close game.
Sure, but like all of them kind of happen at once. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they gotta go to the monitor. There's timeouts. Like we could bounce around.
Okay, we may be coming.
It'd be very easy to bounce around, Roth. The last minute of a game takes like 25 minutes.
That's actually completely true. You're right. Now that I think about it,
we've got timeouts and fouls, and then we've got a replay review, and then we've got more timeouts. Oh yeah, you could definitely bounce around.
Okay, all right. Well, we got $1 billion idea just sitting there. Don't steal it. This is copyright crunch time. Hey, welcome everybody. This is the first big boy slate. Like, yes, that was still preseason. Yesterday was nonsense shenanigan 2-game slate. This is the real deal. Means you like this slate, Meansy?
Well, I was getting excited to come on here and say, oh, it looks like all the injury situations are handled. And it's like they're saying he got hurt on the 5 p.m. warm-ups. Like, what are you doing, man? I think they're like literally already tanking.
Man. How big of news is this? Like on a scale of 1 to 10?
Well, let's see if they update. I was going to see if they put it out of the impact rating in the situation room. I mean, it's not, I would say I bet they put it like a 6 or a 7 would be my guess.
Okay. Is there just suddenly like a chalk play? There's not like a guy that just is like, oh my God, play this dude now?
Well, they have a ton of people, and they're pretty deep in the front court too. So they have like Isaiah Jackson who will probably start, and then Goga Bitadze. Daniel Tice is out.
It's
They
good
have-
night, baby.
Nah, we'll see who they start. It's probably gonna. I don't know. I think they're probably gonna put Jackson in. They have a bunch of they're all cheap, so that's a good thing. They have. Oh man, these guys are really cheap. I'm looking right now on the DK lineups page, and Jackson 3.9. We knew Jalen Smith was 4.4, and he was already projecting well, so he's probably going to project well. They're going to be some good cheap plays here. Jalen Smith and Isaiah Jackson, most likely.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll dig a little bit deeper into that as we go through the show. We also have, along with our boss, which is what we were talking about earlier, by the way. If you don't know, Meansy is all of our bosses. So that's what the conversation earlier was about. You're a good boss, Means, just so you know. But
I appreciate that. Dean's like, tell me I'm doing a good job every now and then. I do. I tell him he's doing good all the time. What's he talking about?
You give me like the carrot and the stick. You know, You're like, good job, buddy, and then you also give me the occasional lashing. But you do good, you know. It's a good job, carrot and stick. That's what a boss should do.
Cards is the most low maintenance of everybody. So like him and Cheese, I don't ever have to talk to. Like they always just get their stuff done.
That's because we wake up way too early.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Cards, how you feeling about this slate?
I'm feeling fine. Plenty of time to research and get ready to go with not a huge chunk of news, of course. And then we quickly get reminded how fast an NBA slate can turn on its head. But curious behavior from the Bulls, ruling out Zach LaVine tonight after he played in 3 of their preseason games, which seems very strange if it's a knee management thing that they weren't a little more careful with him in the preseason. But all things considered, these large NBA slates are going to be a lot more challenging at this time, during the crunch time 30 minutes than they are tonight. So a nice one to get our feet wet here and back in action. And it is a pretty interesting slate tonight.
Okay, well, I am fine. There's so many guys I want to play, and I just looked at my available remaining salary. I still have 4 spots open, and I've got 3.3K left per player. I don't think that's quite going to work. I may have to retool the build a little. So it means let's talk about the slate in general. There's a lot of dudes I want to play, like a lot. And
it's a weird one because FanDuel's actually has some pretty loose, or not. I should say it's actually pretty. I don't want to say it's tightly priced. It's just no one's standing out above anyone else. Whereas DK, it's like I know the first 5 guys I'm putting in again, something like that. So yeah. FanDuel's relatively clear for the first, maybe I would say 2 spots.
Okay.
And then
let's
gets
start
a little
there.
tricky after that. Yeah,
let's start with let's start with the FanDuel cash build. Cards will get your take on FanDuel GPPs, and then Means we'll kick it over to DK after that. And by the way, it's open for questions towards the end of the show. I'm starting in the RG Discord, so please, if you're not a member of the RG Discord, the NBA Crunch Time channel, be a member, join it, and ask your question there.
All right. So I have Terry Rozier is definitely the one. And I went with Trae Young earlier. I noticed I talked to the projection team a little bit about Dame, and I saw we came up a little bit on him. So I might actually change the Trae one to Dame, or maybe just go to Conchar. I'll look at that while Cards is talking, but so I'll just do both guards just to keep up with the to keep on schedule a little bit here, both guard spots. So definitely Rozier, and he has both. I would prefer to play Conchar at small forward, probably. Him and Oubre have small forward eligibility, so I'd prefer to go there. You're going to need to spend up on one, which is where Dame comes in the equation. I think I'm slightly leaning towards him now instead of Trae. He saves you $900 too, and the matchup is really good. I mean, Trae's matchup is really good too. We talked about it a lot last year. With Houston, they played the fastest pace in the league, and they were awful defensively, and now they basically have the same roster back, same coach back. I mean, Jabari Smith will help a little bit, but I mean, we'll see. He's a rookie. So, one of those 2 guys. A handful of other options that are small forward and shooting guard eligible, or I guess I should say one. Desmond Bane, Grant's boy. He fits as nicely as a last piece sort of thing. Giddy is point guard, shooting guard eligible. I think you could throw his name into the equation there. Alex Caruso, 4K. I like him as a cheap guy. Like where Trey Jones is going to be better on DK. He's 5-1 on FanDuel, so I think I'd go Caruso on FanDuel at 4K. Let's see here. I'm probably gonna move it over to forward here. That's pretty much covers it. Yeah, like same with like Devin Vassell. We'll talk about a ton of Spurs guys over on DK. Let's go forwards here. I already knocked through some small forwards here with like Oubre and Conchar, which I'll probably move in here. Actually, let's do that now, or I'll move him and put him in small forward if this will catch up with my words. Come on. All right. So Cam Johnson, he's 4-3. Fine for cash games. I think his ownership was a little higher earlier in the day, so I'm not as opposed to him in tournaments, but like you struggle to see the ceiling there unless he's really, really shooting efficiently from three. And I'm actually, now that I think about it, I'm just going to go ahead and while I have FanDuel up, I'm going to go ahead and just see what these Pacers price tags are, because that update's probably going to be coming in soon. Jalen Smith is going to look really good at 4.8. Isaiah Jackson's going to look really good at 4.1. There's some scuttlebutt on Twitter that it might be Terry Taylor.
That's what I'm seeing in the chat, is that Terry Taylor is starting and Jalen Smith is the 5, according to just someone in the chat. I can't.
Okay. Okay. It looks like we went with that too. I just saw that. I didn't notice the alert came through like 3 minutes ago. So I don't even think, we didn't even have him projected earlier. So let me look. He is the Stone Cold Min on DraftKings. Let's see what he is on FanDuel. Yeah, Stone Cold Min. So like this dude can produce. So I'll wait and confirm and see what our projections say. But
and by this dude, you mean Terry Taylor, correct?
Yeah, him and Jalen Smith. I'll wait and I want to see exactly where we land. But I'm almost certainly going to be tagging one of those dudes. Would be my guess, just because that's a really. I mean that we had, like, as you can see before, for Miles Turner for 32 minutes. Like that's a lot of minutes and a lot of rebounding and a decent amount of usage. So that'll go away. All right, back to what I was talking about. I'll come back to power forward once I see what projections look like with the Pacers update. I already talked a good amount about small forward. Center. I think Jalen Smith might have had I think he had power forward, or I'm sorry, center eligibility. Double check here.
Yeah, he does.
He does, yeah. Sorry, this is like taking it's taking slower than my mind is working right now, and it's frustrating me. All right, so I'm probably going to be looking at one of those Pacers for the center position. Jalen Smith has it, like we said. Clint Capella is another option that's just a little more expensive than those guys. He's 5'8". I think he's fine. John Collins, also power forward eligibility, which I didn't mention at power forward. He's 5'9". Those two Hawks I like a lot. I already talked about the matchup plenty. Yeah, I think I'm going to let cards take over for now, and I'm going to start reassessing some of my stuff.
Okay, great. Cards, you can kind of zoom out, or you can just get right to it and tell me some of your favorite plays.
Yeah, I think this is a slate that's really interesting for tournaments because everyone wants to not completely screw up the first big slate of the season. So it's hard to kind of fade the super popular guys. But I think there's some potential there in GPPs when you've got, so say, for example, on FanDuel, Terry Rozier is 7,200. You know, they're missing guards already. So he's going to, and they're facing San Antonio. So he's going to be the mega chalk. But 42% owned Terry Rozier. I mean, you've got Kyrie Irving, who is reasonably priced at 8,900. You've got Kevin Porter at 7,400, who, he projects about 5 points worse than Rozier. So certainly not the optimal play that you're going to play in cash games. But you've got, if you look at their ceiling numbers, you can certainly see Irving, putting up 58 points if he has a big day, and maybe he can start the season off by making a statement. And these guys are all super low owned compared to Rozier. When you consider Rozier at 40% versus Irving at 9, you're looking at less than a quarter, almost a fifth of the ownership on some of these lower owned guys. So it's not that I don't like Rozier. It's just that in GPPs, this is such a large slate that playing all the 40% owned guys, I think, is a little bit of a mistake. And you don't have to go super crazy. Like, okay, instead of Lillard, maybe you play Halliburton or something like that. They're $200 different. Or maybe you play, you spend up for a Ja Morant. I don't think you have to spend top dollar at point guard tonight. And if I did, I'd probably still play some Trae Young in GPPs, but I can see the logic behind being underweight on Rozier, underweight on Lillard. I'll come back to those guys in a second, but I will probably take underweight stances on those guys in GPPs. Most of the guys it looks like the Pacers projections are getting updated now, so those should be good in a minute when we go back to Meansy. Most of those, point guard, there are point guard, shooting guard eligible guys. Devin Booker is one of the shooting guard only eligible guys. Struggled a bit down the stretch last year. Not a great matchup, but I think he's fine in GPPs. The Spurs guys aren't going to be as popular on FanDuel as they are on DraftKings, but in GPPs, I think they're guards. They're cheap, reasonably cheap. Not as cheap as they are on DraftKings, but I think they're fine. They're better in tournament plays on FanDuel probably, where they're going to carry a little less ownership. Looking at the forward spots, I will combine them together. It's a little bit tough to find the high ceiling plays that are going under the radar a little bit compared to the guards. So I prefer to get different a little bit more with the guard spots and eat a little bit more chalk with the front court spots. TBD on the Indiana guys. We'll see where the ownership goes. If they decide to go smaller a little bit more against Washington, who knows? Maybe Duarte gets a few more minutes too. Maybe he grabs a few more rebounds. I think he's fine in GPPs. I think Franz Wagner is interesting in GPPs. Porzingis, if you want to bank on, while he's healthy, play him. Adebayo, I think those guys are all interesting in tournaments away from the super chalk. And then at center, there's always tons of plays at center. You could make a lineup full of centers tonight. I think Dean tweeted something about this earlier. But the one guy that I am not on as chalk as much is Gobert. There was a quote from him the other night about, he's still trying to feel out how to play with Karl Anthony Towns, and he's still going to block shots. He's still going to get rebounds. He's still really safe, but I question the ceiling for Gobert, particularly right now, until he gets a feel for how to play with Towns a little bit more. And they're 12-point favorites. I'm not disagreeing with him being chalk, but Gobert being the highest owned center, I think that's an easy pass in terms of single entry GPP, 3 max GPP. If you're building 100 lineups, maybe you want to play some, but I'll take a lot of these other similarly priced guys above him. Talked about a lot of them at power forward. Sabonis, I like a good bit. Ayton, I think, is fine in GPPs, but not much Gobert for me tonight. And one thing I wanted to circle back to, although I am underweight on Rozier and I am underweight on Lillard, I think those two games, Charlotte, San Antonio, and Portland, Sacramento, set up as probably the two most stackable games of the night. I don't love stacking games on such a large slate, but if you hit that double, triple overtime, people always ask, what are your favorite games to stack up? I think those are the most stackable games, but those are the only types of lineups where I'm going to, try to get Rozier and Lillard in there in GPPs would be in game stacks.
Okay. Quick thoughts cards here on Terry Taylor in general in GPPs. You mentioned you want to pass the buck or wait on Pacer News, but we got 15 minutes. Are you playing him?
I probably will because, the ownership never catches up completely when the news comes so late.
Yeah.
And he's basically min salary. I like Jalen Smith a lot too. I think he's the guy that gets the biggest bump for me because they don't have a lot of front court bodies. Remember, Sabonis isn't there. They don't have a lot of guys. So Smith is the guy I'm most interested in, but yeah, I think you got to play some Taylor too at that salary.
Okay, very good. Means let's talk some DK here. If you've had a minute to kind of digest things with the news breaking, walk me through what you're doing on DK.
Yeah, I probably stand corrected a little bit on the Pacers stuff. It looks like I'm just looking at DK. Like I think we spread out the minutes a lot to some of these front court guys. I did allude to it kind of at the start that they do have a lot of guys. What I will say is that you want to go. Someone's going to outperform their salary in this front court. Like someone is going to play well, because like generally in this stuff too, is the guy who's playing well anyways is going to get more minutes. So like it compounds. So like if Jalen Smith's playing ready, we have him at 25 minutes. If he's playing really well, maybe he gets to 30 minutes and then he has like 35 DK points or something. So like if you're making a bunch of lineups, I would look to have, I mean, I'll let Card speak to this later. I'm no like MME guy, but I would look to have like one of those dudes in most of my lineups. Like, and when I mean one, I'm like Isaiah Jackson, Taylor, and Jalen Smith. Someone is going to murder their price tag, in my opinion. So cash games, maybe not. Maybe Jalen Smith is the only one. We only put Terry Taylor at 22 minutes. Not disagreeing with that. We have just a lot of mouths to feed there. Like I forgot about Brissett. He can play some 4. They have Goga. So like, it's if this was March and they had like 9 guys, maybe we'd be having a different discussion. But since it's they have a ton, so it's a little maybe not as much value as I alluded to. So let me go through DK real quick. I know we're running short-ish on time, so I'm going to talk general roster construction here, just because there's like this like 5 to 7K range that's loaded on DK in my opinion, and a lot of it starts with the Spurs. Just because this is a pretty good game environment. They shipped off DeJounte Murray in the offseason, so there's more everything to go around. Remember, DeJounte Murray was like borderline triple-double average. So, like, that's a lot of points, a lot of runs, and a lot of assists, and a lot of minutes to go to other guys. And all of them are cheap. So, Keldon Johnson, 5'9", Pirtle's 5, Vassell 6, and I think Trey Jones is like 4'2", 4'3", something like that. So, those guys are all cash game viable. If I would say the only reason I don't have guys like Pirtle and Bam tagged as core plays is strictly because they're all only center eligible. You can only play 2 centers tonight. And I'm sure I'm not the first person to point this out today. And I'm sure they pointed out on the show before us. But like, look at the first 5 SRG values are all center only eligible. So you can get to play 2 of the 5 best RG values in one lineup. So that just kind of goes to show you what you're picking at. If it's me, I'm 2 dudes, Pirtle and Adebayo. Like let's just for example purposes, you put those guys in. You put, the fact that my internet is not keeping up with my mouth and my mind is just absolutely infuriating me right now. So then you go like small forward, and let's say we'll pick Vassell out of this one, and then you look to power forward, and like maybe you go Keldon there, then like that's 6 spots already, and then it's like, all right, who do I get to spend on? You got 7 per to spend on your next 2 guys. So like that's generally what I'm thinking, and like I'm sure we'll get to how many Spurs can you play in cash question. I mean, you can play 4. Like it's literally a pick 'em spread. Like these are 2 of probably with no LaMelo now with the Hornets. These are probably 2 of the worst 5 teams in the league. So like that's always worries me a little bit that can go really bad one way or the other, but it's a pick 'em spread. So
They're going to be tanking in game 1, baby.
I mean, we all saw Wembanyama, so I'm not surprised.
This year is going to be nuts with tanking.
I know. So, spin ups real quick, and then I'll pass it back. So you have Jokic, you have Sabonis, you have Luka, and then you have there's this really good. And you don't even have to play one of those guys if you don't want to. Maybe you play one of those guys if you play like Trey Jones. But you have the 7K range at the guards. You have Halliburton. You have Cade Cunningham. You have, I think, Kevin Porter at 6'5". Like, there's a lot of different ways you can go. That's generally what it's looking like for cash games for me on DK.
Okay. Cards, anything you want to add here over on DK, how you're approaching it maybe a little bit differently?
Yeah, just because there's a little bit higher concentration of good plays over there. Ironically, our top end projected ownership is actually lower than it is for some of the players on FanDuel, because it does give you a wider range of options. So DraftKings is actually a site where if you see somebody that you like that's clearly underpriced, even though they're going to be popular, it's not like we've got 40 to 45% on a lot of these guys. So I will play the guys that I consider to be the best options, but probably not at center just because there are so many centers. So that would be like Rozier, I think is a little bit better on DK at shooting guard. Keldon Johnson, we're at power forward. Jalen Green, a little more appealing on DK. But maybe you don't play Pirtle or Adebayo because there are so many strong center plays. And that's the spot where you look to differentiate a little bit, because due to the nature of all the centers being, you can only play a couple of them. That's how you get Jokic at 12%, or Nurkic at 7%. You just got so many guys that are capable of a 50, 60 fantasy point performance, that because of the constraints at center, that's the spot where maybe you look to get a little bit different, in my opinion. Otherwise, the pivots are kind of the same guys that I mentioned on FanDuel that are strong tournament plays. We can work some into the questions. I know with it being a large slate, we probably have a lot, so don't want to get too wordy. If something comes up with one of the questions, we can kind of work it in.
Okay, great. Well, we've got about 7 minutes left for some QQs. Again, if we catch up on all the questions on the Discord, I will take them from YouTube, but I'm starting in the RG Discord, the NBA Crunch Time channel. So let's get to it. NBA DFS says, at min on FanDuel at shooting guard, do you like Taylor over Conchar? We'll call this cash. I don't know. Means, I assume Taylor isn't shooting guard, though, or?
Yeah, I would play. It's probably might be I don't know if it's small forward or you can move stuff around. I'd play Conchar over Taylor.
Okay, all right. Okay, DK cash question. That means I'm just coming to you for cash and cards. I'll come to you for GPPs. Is that cool?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. DK cash question from Achilles means 3v3. Bam, Sabonis, Markkanen, or Conchar, Pirtle, Jokic.
Ooh. What was the third one with Jokic? Conchar and who?
Pirtle.
I have to answer this?
You do. You like it all?
Yeah, I mean, that's tough. I would probably say I don't love the Conchar price tag on DK, but I'd probably go with that one. Just because the Markkanen thing, like that, when we talk about new situations, that is like brand spanking new, man. They have the whole team's new. So like I'm worried about, how that all falls. He's only like 5-something. I'd go the Jokic one.
Okay. This just in, Cole Anthony is out.
So Suggs in the lineup probably would be my guess. And then Hampton.
That's an ugly game and not a great. I don't think that moves the needle a ton. Like, I don't think you need to blow up your lineups. Like, who's blowing up their lineup to get Terrence Ross and Suggs in there? I mean, I think Suggs is fine, but
everything's going to go through Franz and Paolo, right?
Yeah, and Suggs is 5,700 on DK. Like, Ross is 5,100. Like, I think Wagner's a little more interesting, but just meh.
Okay.
I'm on board with that. I mean, Fultz is out too, so like and Harris is out too, so I mean, they can move guys. Yeah, they can push guys down and move, and trickle down to other.
I mean, they could also very easily end up scoring like 95 points.
The fact that Suggs is 5'7" is automatically going to make him like just not appealing, and like. Yeah, it's. We'll see what projections say. I'm for cash games for sure. I don't think that's going to move the needle here.
Okay, all right, that's fair. Let's get more QQs here. DK cash is 4 Spurs. Too many Spurs?
Nope.
Okay, very good.
I forgot one other thing about Jalen Suggs. I didn't mention he also can't shoot, so that's a problem.
That is a problem, not being able to score. I know from personal experience, not being able to shoot is indeed a problem. FanDuel Cash NBA DFS means T. Young and T. Jones or Dame and Giddey.
I would do Dame and Giddey.
Raw points cards. Who do you like best in a DK GPP? KD, Trey, Ja.
Raw points. Yeah, give me Trey.
Very good. On DK means is Trey Jones not a cash priority?
On DK, no. I mean, he's closer priced to some like. I think he's like 9.5, and like Luke is like 10.2 or something. Like it's different on DK. So
we're talking Trey Jones.
I thought you said Trey Young. Sorry.
No. Trey Jones.
Oh, I wouldn't call him a priority just because, like, as you saw when I went through like that list of like the 5 or 6 first guys in for me, kind of like then you're like 7 something. So like you hit the middle, the upper mid tier with your next 2 spots, or you can go Trey and like spend up for Sabonis or something. It's like not a priority, but like definitely in the immediate pool. Yeah.
Okay, great. Cards. Mike says, is Keldon Big Body Johnson going to break the slate tonight?
He could. Yeah, I like him a good bit. I think on that team, I mean, remains to be seen how creative they're going to get, how much they're going to tank. But I mean, he's clearly a guy that should excel on a bad roster. So
I think they can just play normally and they'll lose. So like,
right, yes. So he should have a good year if he stays healthy. I think you take the discount while you can.
Okay. Speaking of which, we need to talk about the draft already post-lock. Post-lock, we need to talk about it.
The NBA draft?
Yes. Is Jackson viable in single entry on FanDuel, or is that too thin?
Yeah, not for me on such a large slate. If it was last night, it'd be a little different, but no Jackson for me. I don't know. It's not the worst play, but I'm not on him.
Okay. Is Markkanen okay in cash means from Achilles?
Yeah, I think on DK. Yeah, he asked him in the 3v3, I think. So I think Markkanen's fine. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Moore says FanDuel cash means Duarte or Cam Johnson. They're basically the same price.
I like Duarte, but if it's mine, I'd probably play Cam on that one.
Very good. FanDuel question here. I'll give it to Means. Keldon Johnson or Pirtle?
I'd probably play Pirtle.
Okay. All right. Ink Magma. Good to see that name again.
Magma.
Says Magma.
Using
cards.
my time machine.
I'm so glad you get it when I say that. I feel like. All right. What are your thoughts on Zion, Cards? He seems like the exact archetype that the Nets have trouble with. I don't know what that means because he's in his own archetype, but
Yeah.
I didn't know there's a lot of Zion.
Otherworldly is the archetype that Brooklyn struggles with.
He's also already been banged up once, so can he hold up for a whole game? How many minutes are they going to give him? Are they going to really push him?
It's a game. Are you interested?
But he's saying like how many minutes are they going to give him basically too? Like,
how many minutes? Why are you going to push Zion? The dude's barely seen the court in 2 seasons.
Yeah.
What? Why? What incentive do you have to throw Zion out there for 40 minutes in a road game? Now in 30 minutes, Zion can do a lot in 30 minutes, but I question the ceiling. I think the name value has his ownership just slightly inflated, and I don't think he's going to get more than 30 minutes. And we got to see him on the court for like a couple weeks and see what kind of minutes he gets. I just, in GPPs right now, I don't think you can go there.
Okay. All right. FanDuel Cash 3v3 from Freyas means Trey Jones, Pirtle, and Joker, or Cade, Bam, Vooch.
That was FD.
DK Cash.
Ask again if you still see it.
Yeah, Trey Jones, Pirtle, Joker, or Cade, Bam, Vooch.
God, that's tough. I would probably go the first one though. Those are both good.
Okay. Rhino says, you still like Oubre over Wagner and FanDuel Cash means even with Anthony being out, I've got the salary to go up.
Oh. Let me see. We're basically right there. I still like Oubre more.
Okay. All right. Okay. Don't go anywhere because we have some post-lock questions and then I just post-lock rants. But Scorekeeper says 12-game slate Cards. How many players from one team is too many in a DK GPP?
I mean, there's never a set answer for that. And game stacks are fine because a few times a year you'll see a triple overtime game that breaks the slate. So,
but if you're playing 3 guys or more on one team, are you running it back? First off,
you have to, right? Because just independently, all the Spurs might grade out really well on DK for cash games, and that makes sense. But are all of them going to have ceiling games? Probably not, unless it's 3 or 4 overtime, 2 overtimes. You kind of eat into your own upside, but if you're running it back, I could see doing 4 from one team and 2 from another. Not as often on 12-game slates or whatever we have tonight, obviously, but on smaller slates, it's going to be a different answer than it is on these slates. On these slates, it's going to be, only in a game stack. If you're not interested in rolling, 6 guys from one game, I'd say I'm probably not rostering more than like 2 guys from one team, absent a circumstance where like 4 starters are out or there's some completely obvious misprices, which we don't have tonight. I'm probably limiting myself to 2, maybe 3 from one team.
Okay, very good. Got a few more questions coming in real quick. I just have to talk about this. Meansy, have you seen, what's his name? Victor
Wembanyama? Of course.
Roth is going to have fun with his name next year.
Yeah.
Call him Wemby.
Have you seen him play? Like, I have never seen anything like it. I've literally never seen anything.
Really, I mean, you're not exaggerating. It is like that's literally the truth. Yeah. I was explaining to my dad last week, and like, you see him if you see him just standing, you would think, oh, that like you think he would look clumsy or like hunch over, or he couldn't, like he would run weird because he's so tall. But then when you actually see him move, you would think he should be 6'5", but he's actually like 7'4". Yeah.
I literally, like, he even has handles. Like, I think he has better handles than like KD. Like, he can dribble. His fadeaway threes, he's hitting threes from the moon. Like, I've never seen anything like it. That guy, when I first saw LeBron, I thought there's never going to be a guy that has this physical tool set and those skills. Mm-hmm. But there's going to be. Like, I have the chills thinking about what that guy's going to do for the league.
And like, well, with LeBron, he was also a little sturdier at that age, but not 7'4". He was like 6'7", 6'8", or whatever. Right. So, and then I think I was listening like the Low Post or something with Zach Lowe, and he was talking about something I never would have noticed this just because like I really only see highlights without like watching that one game or whatever. But like he was saying how he also does things that a big man should do. Like when he's doing pick and roll, he will screen and he will like hard roll rim run. Like most people with his skills would screen, pop to the 3-point line, but he will do all of it. So like he will also like do all the things offensively that like a Rudy Gobert would do to rim run, but then he will also like off a screen and shoot a fadeaway 3. And then he's also like apparently really good defensively. Like he can be a switch guy. It's insane. I'm not the first one to say it, but like he is literally a creative player in a video game.
Yeah, he's the most incredible player I've ever seen in my life, and he's still like.
And that is why the tanking is going to be extreme, because 2 extra ping pong balls are super valuable this year.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I honestly couldn't believe it when I saw that kid. I was like, holy shit! Like he's the most incredible player I've ever seen play. So I'm pretty stoked for that. Okay, that was it. That was my rant. And let's see. Let me see if there were a couple more questions we can get. Yeah, we actually caught up on all the questions, so I think we can get on out of here with that. That's it. This is Crunch Time. It is sponsored by Fanduel. Hit that like button if you're still watching, because it's free content. Why wouldn't you just gotta hit?
And because my microphone didn't mute. That's worth the thumbs up on its own.
Hey, maybe Devin fixed it after all.
All we had to do was switch back to the Yeti.
That's it.
Can I tell you a funny story? What happened last night after the show?
Yeah, please do.
Well, Roth, I was telling you how I didn't know we did all this like new software or whatever for our shows because I haven't been on a show since April.
Yeah.
And so last season, when we got off of a show, we would all like congregate in the little room and like say, okay, yeah, good show, blah, or follow up and like and then get out of there. Right. And so last night the show ends and like our awesome music comes on after the show. And I'm
it's
just
pretty
like
great.
dancing by myself, waiting for your guys' faces to show up. And then it just never. And then I'm just sitting there dancing for like 20 seconds. And like, all right, I guess I'll go.
Yeah. I guess
I couldn't talk because my microphone was going haywire, so I just hopped right out of here.
Yeah. Well, now we've got like a long outro, so now nobody hangs around anymore.
Yeah,
so.
you can just dart, man.
Right. You can dip now, but you can say good show like now while we're still live if you want.
Good show, guys. Let's
There you
get
go.
it back
Good job.
tomorrow. Let's do it again.
There you go. We'll do it again tomorrow. Hey, guys, everybody, for memes and for cards, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.